This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And a sick Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we have our mock draft 4.0 for you. We'll also have Wet Boys to start off the podcast. But guys, before we jump into the prospects, the guys we're loving, the guys that are falling, rising, I do just want to let you guys that are listening and watching right now to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you do want to support the podcast, that is how you can help. And we have some great things coming from April. We just had an MVP meeting where we went over the new tiers that are coming out. All great stuff for current patrons and new patrons. Nothing's really changing for your tiers. You're just getting more stuff added. So definitely keep an eye out for that. April 1st is likely when we're going to be dropping it. We plan on dropping it on April 1st. So definitely check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Get in early if you want. Check that out. Also, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, Stitcher, you have the opportunity to go over and rate us on iTunes or any of those platforms. We would greatly appreciate it. Get more ears and eyes on this podcast. That would be huge. So if you have those abilities, please check that out and do so. I think I hit everything, right, Ricky? Mm-hmm. Missing anything?
Not that I can think of.
All right, let's jump into it. We'll first start off with Wet Boys. This is our segment where we give a Players of the Week, pretty much. We talk about guys that absolutely went off, had historic games, crazy stat lines, impressive performances, nice winning streaks. This is where we talk about them. Right now, the leader is, shockingly, James Harden with 10. But no James Harden this week, Ricky. Who's your Wet Boy?
Well, mine, I kind of had a little, this was one where I feed the percentage that I didn't even know about until Sean did some great work telling me that I only pick Warriors and Bulls players and Mavs players, although that wasn't put into the percentage. But I was like, do I go with Klay Thompson or do I go with the guy I did pick? And I ended up going with Colin Sexton. Had a great week this week, just averaging over 20 points a game, 26 to be exact. Didn't average a lot of assists and rebounds, but it doesn't matter. Right now, Cleveland just needs to lose games, and hopefully they stay within that 14% range that they are now. And he's a guy that, let's see if he can keep this up and be that guy that scores points for the Cavs. Bright things for the future. Looking at Colin Sexton, giving him some love for this week.
15 of your 22 Wet Boys have either been a Bull, a Warrior, a Maverick, a Laker, or a Timberwolf. So that's the percentage that we're talking about for the people who are new.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot.
I thought you were going to jump in.
No, I just gave the look to the camera.
And
what do you expect?
This might be the
exactly.
This might be the only time Colin Sexton's getting love on this podcast because he's definitely going to come up when we talk about him in the Cavs segment.
I'll be completely honest. The mock draft week kind of influenced why I picked him because they don't need no job. They got their point guard.
Because I don't know about that. A lot of people, it's been brought up. I thought that they can go with Ja and they can run a two-guard system. A lot of people just think Colin Sexton's already a bust. I don't know. I mean, it's year one. We'll see what he can do. But Dave, give us your Wet Boy.
So I'm taking the best rookie on the Mavericks this week, jokingly, and Jalen Brunson. He's played amazingly. He's really kind of showed the Mavericks that they made the right choice moving forward by moving away from DSJ. He's been one hell of a complimentary piece to Luka out there. I think he's an absolute ideal fit, and he's shown them exactly why they made that choice. This week he's putting up 24 points a game, 6 boards, 4 assists, shooting an incredible clip, 59 from the field, 44 from 3 on a decent amount of attempts a game. I think that I'm loving how this future is going to come together for the Mavs. It's hard not to like a young team with as much potential as they have moving forward.
Yeah, I look at Brunson, and this is kind of exactly when he was drafted. You already immediately liked the pick.
He's a super smart player. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but he's perfect next to Luka. I think that they're going to be a great duo, and I think now JJ Barea going out, that just is great because if JJ wasn't, I mean, it's not great because he's injured, but hopefully he can bounce back and everything like that. I mean, we're not wishing injured, but no. You're getting a great sign that he is injured. When there is a dark spot in him getting injured, something has been really bright in Jalen Brunson playing, and he's been absolutely phenomenal.
High level scoring out of him. I did not expect to see this rookie year. So
yeah, and it's been phenomenal. And just imagine when Luka's fully on, Jalen's fully on, and they have Kristaps back.
Whew.
It's going to be, and if they free up a ton of cap space, there's some talk. I think it was Bill Simmons. He brought up the fact that I forget the exact thing, but I think if the Cavs trade JR, His cap hit is pretty much waived, I think, or something like that, and he's only worth like $1.2 million to the team that he's going to. I forget exactly what it is, but pretty much like JR is this huge trade piece because it can clear up a ton of cap space for the team that takes him on. And with the Cavs being bad, they could take on draft picks or young players. So that might be huge for Dallas if they want to free up and try to go after a big free agent because they already cleared up cap space with the Harrison Barnes trade. They cleared up some cap space with the Matthews and Jordan were coming off. But if they trade Courtney Lee off, they got Barnes off. That would be huge for them making some free agent plays.
Also, their draft pick. Ever so close to getting that back.
Mm-hmm. They might be getting that if they do get top 5. Yep. We'll talk about that in the mock draft as well. They're at 6 right now, so they got to tank a little bit more harder. So
and it's them versus the Hawks.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Brunson needs to be just a little worse.
No, they've lost. I think 9. They're 1-9 in the last 10. This is a masterclass on tanking.
But like you could even be 0-10.
You're right.
You could just Brunson's playing too good.
They could lose harder.
Let's move to a team that is actually playing too good. 7 straight wins for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going with LaMarcus Aldridge. The second time he's been a wet boy in the past 2 years. This is the only time he's the only player in the Spurs to get one. This is the second time for the Spurs, second time for LaMarcus Aldridge. This week, 25 points per game, 11 total rebounds per game, 3 offensive boards per game, 56% from the field. He had a nice shot percentage from 3 as well. I think it was like 33% on like an attempt a game, and then he was perfect from the line as well. So LaMarcus Aldridge helping the Spurs maintain a playoff spot. I don't know what it is with this team. They just have these stretches where they look horrible, they look bad, and then they just come out guns blazing, and they just get on these crazy hot streaks. So it's been up and down for the San Antonio Spurs, but with the Lakers giving up, with everyone being hurt on that team, it looks like they are going to be a playoff team, and that's after trading Kawhi Leonard. So if you don't think Craig Popovich is the best coach in the NBA, I don't know what you're smoking. Looking exactly at you two guys who put Brad Stevens above him.
Hey, I like Brad Stevens.
Doesn't mean he's better than fucking Pop.
Hey, after what I saw last year,
5 rings, 6 rings.
After I saw last year, I thought that the Celtics were going to be better, and the Celtics were not better. So there's that.
How do you guys think the Western Conference playoff is going to shape out? Do you think the Spurs? Because right now they're 7-game win streak, 7-3 in the last 10, but so are the Jazz, so are the Clippers. Do we think that there's any chance for the Kings, or is the 8 we have right now
the 8 closed?
The 8 we have right now is the 8 we have?
Yeah, I mean the Kings loss just it ended it. It's over. It's unfortunate because we love the Kings and they were so close and Buddy Hield bet the house and then
and they
not
took
so
it
great.
back.
Yeah. He had a Sean bet.
Yeah, he did. And right now too, you look at the teams that are below 8. Kings are on a 3-game losing streak. T-Wolves 2-game losing streak. Lakers 2-game losing streak. Pelicans 5-game losing streak. Dallas 7-game losing streak. Suns 2-game losing streak. The Grizzlies, however, are 5-5 in their last 10. So what the fuck are the Grizzlies doing? But you look at that. I agree. I think the only thing that's going to switch is probably Spurs might fall to 8 or 7. Jazz might jump them, but I think this is going to be the 8 that we have.
Yeah. Well, and just popping into my head because I saw this on ESPN. I know this isn't the full thing of it, but to more interesting for me, Rockets, Blazers, and Thunder. Who's going to get that 3rd seed and basically have the chance to avoid the Warriors until the Western Conference Finals? Because they're all right there at 4, 4.5, and 5. And whoever out of those 3 teams gets that 3rd seed won't have to handle the Warriors until they have to.
Golden State hasn't been too hot. Kevin Durant's been hurt. I mean, I know that's not going to be the truth when it comes to the playoffs, but I mean, shit. I think if I had to pick a team out of that, I'll probably take Oklahoma City because Paul George has been hurt, and I think he's going to be healthy, obviously, and I think with his level of play, that'll take him up to 3. But I mean, James Harden, if he gets hot again, to where he was.
They're 9-1 in the last 10. The Rockets are just insane right now.
Are they back?
I would probably say yeah. I mean,
but then I like James Harden, I like the Rockets.
PJ Tucker literally didn't hit a shot, and they won that game. And it was just him mauling people on defense.
How long do you think that they can be back, though? Because, I mean, you just always have that question of Chris Paul and
I'm not putting any dates in there.
Yeah, if Harden's gas tank is going to give out.
But they look incredible right now, which is exactly what they need. A little bit earlier than they needed, but,
Yeah, I'll take the Thunder to get the 3 seed. I think that who do you think the bigger threat is? Thunder or
the bigger
Rockets
threat to the Warriors? The Thunder. I like the Thunder. I like what they're doing this year. I like the kind of this whole team has been different since PG said, yes, I'm going to stay here and play with Westbrook. They're the team I'd be scared of if I was the Warriors, not the Rockets.
These are just the teams fighting for 3rd. Obviously, you could say Denver, but like Rockets, Blazers, Thunder. Do you think it's the Thunder too?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they just have a more balanced team, and defensively, they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
I love the Rockets matchup with the Warriors, so I don't care when that happens. I just hope it happens.
Yeah, I agree. I hope Thunder go to 3, and then we see Portland and
Portland's one of those
Portland
things where,
are-
like, I
Portland
feel like we're
and Houston.
disrespecting them,
Hey.
but, like, Yeah.
It was Charles and Kenny said Blazers going to be in the finals. Put it on the board.
Well,
Put it on the board?
who's the one team that we did not put in the fucking
Yeah.
playoffs in
Yeah.
the preseason? It was the Blazers
Yeah.
because we thought they were going to fall off, and I think that again
They always
the
just
playoffs
creep
are a
and
big
stay
question
right
for
there.
them because they just keep losing in the first round. They
Yeah.
just don't have that talent to get over that first round. But in the regular season, they're absolutely dangerous. So we'll see what happens with these players. Let us know who you think is going to be the 3 seed in the Western Conference. Do you like the Heat or the Magic in the Eastern Conference for that 8 seed? Currently a game lead for the Heat for 8th place.
I like the Heat better, 100%.
Going with the Heatles.
I think the veteran heavy presence, like they're a team of good, not greats, and Justice Winslow, point guard, awesome. It's worked out awesome for him. His stats since they moved him to point guard like full time have been fantastic, and Dragic just still great. But now that he's back, he's almost 100% healthy. Like love it.
Hornets also a game back of the Heat, but
Boo.
they're a team that has a worse away record than both the Hawks and the Bulls. So I don't think you're getting in the playoffs with a away record like that. Quick fantasy update: we're still the Kings, king of the clubhouse.
Is that why we had this conversation? Because we don't want to talk
That's
about
real
fantasy. We're
quick.
just kings in the
Yeah.
kings in the clubhouse.
Pretty much, and we got, I think we got like only like we don't have like less than a month left. So right now we do have a 3-point lead.
April 10th. That's right. April
Yeah.
10th is when the regular season ends.
I have a 3-point lead over both Super Hippo and the 76ers. They're at 98 points. Oh, actually, sorry, it's a 4-point lead now. So we're at 102. They're at 98. So we'll see how that affects this season. But I mean, as long as we're starting everybody, I think we're going to be fine. We're currently 4th in field goals made. We are still we're still only getting 5 points for field goal percentage and free throw percentage. We're in 9th place for both of those. 3-pointers made, we are 2nd. 3-point percentage, we are 3rd. Rebounds, we are 1. Thanks, Andre Drummond. Then 3rd in assists, 1st in steals, 3rd in blocks, 3rd in points. So I don't think there's anything that we can really do to help this team. It's just been money.
on.
Ride
keep it
it on. Ride it on through. And I'm just looking. It's interestingly humorous to me. You look at ours where it's like we're mostly now dominant in everything except for, like you said, field goal percentage and free throw percentage. I feel sorry for Phila 76ers. It's like you're great in everything, but the 2 things you're bad at, 3-point percentage and free throw percentage, you're like bottom of the league in, and that's probably the only thing keeping you out of 2nd place over Super Hippo.
That's the thing. Is if we were, I think Kyle, who owns 76ers, I think he has LeBron, so obviously that's hurting him. But the thing too that's not killing us is our 2 worst ones were only 5th. Like if we were bottom, in free throw percentage and 3-pointers made, we'd be absolutely screwed. But that's the one thing that we have done is we've been mediocre at least where we are the worst.
We bounced it off a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can pull out the win. It'd be nice to win a fantasy league because I think no MVP team has won a fantasy league, right?
Yeah, I think this is the first one we've done that's roto, though, right? Last year we did head-to-head.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about like even
In
fantasy,
general,
right?
though.
Like even
Yeah.
like
No,
for
like-
the primetime or the onside kick for fantasy. Did you guys win your league?
No, we didn't win the league this year.
Have you ever won a league?
I don't remember.
So this could be
I know
first.
this year we didn't.
We could finally be getting some gold in the
Maybe.
MVP trophy case.
I mean, hey, it'd be nice. I have always
We
said.
gotta build one.
I have always said, Sean, I'm the owner of
Get
this
Johnny on
team
that.
where I hired only the best of general managers to GM this team. And if this goes to a title for us, hey, I'm getting the trophy, but my GM deserves all the credit.
Call me up, Bulls, Grizzlies, Pelicans. Who else should we throw in there? Suns? Yeah, Suns.
And
Suns don't have a fucking
we
GM.
started at the bottom, now we here though.
Yeah, there
That's
we go.
it.
Let us know your thoughts on the Western and Eastern
Toronto,
Conference Finals,
Drake.
or the Western and Eastern Conference playoffs, and also let us know your wet boy for the week. But let's move into the main event, our mock draft 4.0 for the 2019 NBA season. I know most people are going to be like, "Oh, you guys have no idea what you're talking about." we get it. We haven't been doing these for 3 years or anything like that. We're not entitled to our own opinions. So if you have your own opinions, let us know down in the comments. But don't say we're idiots. Let us know why we're idiots. Let's try to make it a conversation because...
I mean, I could have told you I was an idiot already.
Yeah, we don't need you for
We
that.
already know he's an idiot. You've known him forever.
My entire life.
But the thing is that we're going to have a mailbag next week. So we do want a conversation. We do got you guys' opinion. Tell us where we're wrong. Tell us what you think. That's what the
And
point is.
it's tourney time, so one game. We're complete idiots on the best of one game.
Exactly. I think Ricky put one guy in because of the tournament he's probably going to have in his mock draft, but you got to stay till 21 through 30. That's how we break it up. We got 1 through 10 for the NBA, then we're going to go 11 through 20, and then we'll go 21 through 30. If you're listening on iTunes, that does not matter because you're going to be listening to the full podcast. So it's Caleb Martin. Relax.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought
first,
it was.
yeah.
You were like freaking out. You're like, oh,
I was intrigued.
There's
Was
the
it
guy
Iggy?
there's the guy that's only on your board because of his tournament last year. So if he does well in this tournament this year, he's probably going to go up.
Caleb Martin.
You haven't had him on a mock draft yet.
Yeah, but it's changed.
But now it's March.
Season progresses.
But now it's
Let
March.
us know your thoughts down in the comments because we will have a mailbag next week. That's the point I was trying to make. But let us know. Give us reasons why because we do want to feature you guys' thoughts and opinions. But Ricky, start us off with your mock draft 1 through 10.
Starting it off with the absolute obvious, do I even have to say it? The Knicks, the Mecca. They get their guy Zion Williamson, number 1, going to the New York Knicks. Then at number 2, Ja Morant, the rightful number 2, in my mind, going to the Phoenix Suns, guard out of Murray State. Then the Cavs, RJ Barrett out of Duke, easy pick for them. Then the Bulls, a little bit of a hard one, but I'm still going to go with Cam Reddish, the forward, out of the Duke Blue Devils. Then the Hawks at 5 and 6 with the double pick. First at 5, they'll take Jarrett Culver out of Texas Tech. Then roll that into 6 via the Mavs. Take Romeo Langford because Romeo's crying that he lost to Ohio State recently out of Indiana. Then the Grizzlies, they will go with Rui Hachimura out of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. The Wizards, going to go with Bol.
Did you listen to me?
Oregon, what?
Was this from the argument last time?
For what?
The Bobo thing.
Bobo going to
so
the Wizards? Because I made Sean.
I will say this. I'm going to
freak
say
out?
this right now.
Yep.
I did my mock draft on Wednesday at first.
Yep.
And it was Wizards at 7, Grizzlies at 8. And I originally had Rui to the Wizards, DeAndre Hunter to the Grizz. But then the Grizz went to 7, so the Wizards were not going to take DeAndre Hunter. They're going to go with Bol. But DeAndre Hunter will go 9 to the New Orleans Pelicans. And then at number 10, the LA Lakers or the LA LeBrons will go with Jackson Hayes, the center out of Texas.
Well, and remember, the Wizards fan said he was going to cause himself self-harm if the Wizards took DeAndre Hunter. So I think that's one reason
And
why.
I didn't want to do that. I'm like, I'll shake it up just for you.
Yeah.
Just wait till Dave and I pick. Dave, give us your 1 through 10.
Sure thing. Obviously, the second overall pick, I've got the Suns going with Ja Morant. Third overall pick, I've got the Cavs going with RJ Barrett. At 4, I've got the Bulls taking Jarrett Culver. At 5, the Hawks taking Cam Reddish. 6, I've got the Hawks going Jackson Hayes. 7, the Grizzlies are going with Darius Garland. At 8, the Wizards are taking DeAndre Hunter. I'm sorry. At number 9, the Pelicans are taking Kevin Porter Jr. And at number 10, the Lakers, Keldon Johnson.
For audio listeners, who do you have at number 1? Because they can't see the graphic.
Oh, no. I just skipped over because if you don't have Zion Williamson going number 1, you're just wrong.
Also, it's just clear. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's...
I didn't want someone who's an audio listener thinking they missed something.
That's fine.
But if you
There's
got
not a cut.
if you got them to backtrack, then you won. If they hit the 15-second thing to bounce it back 15 seconds, Dave wins.
I will say in our Ja Morant, RJ Barrett topic, there were people saying that RJ is the
Should be
best
number
or
1.
Ja is the best. Just prospect in general.
Well, they'd be wrong.
Just watch the past 2 games for Duke. You will see the best player in the country.
But he went 2 of 9
With a
from the line,
vengeance.
Sean. 2 of 9, not good.
Who?
Zion. He went 2 of 9 from the line against Syracuse, his only blemish.
He did?
Yeah.
I only cared about 13 for 13.
Yeah, I'd say he was perfect.
Anyways, yeah, that's what I was thinking. He's perfect from the line. Let's go to mine. Number 1, the New York Knicks taking Zion Williamson. 2, the Phoenix Suns taking Ja Morant. 3, the Cavs taking RJ Barrett. 4, the Bulls taking Jarrett Culver. 5, the Hawks taking Cam Reddish. 6, the Hawks via the Mavs taking Jackson Hayes. 7, the Grizzlies taking Sekou Doumbouya. At 8, the Wizards taking DeAndre Hunter. At 9, the Pelicans taking Darius Garland. And at 10, the Lakers taking Kobe White, the guard from UNC, because I think I'm the only person who put him in the top 10.
He cracked your top 10, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, the only person who had Sekou as well. Sekou, the French pro international. He's going to be the youngest player in this draft, born December of 2000. So he's going to be 18 even when the season starts. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's insane. But let's start off at number 1, the Knicks getting Zion Williamson. I mean, it just seems like if there is any fit, like that would be the guy. He's big. He's a target for the media in a good way. He's just a lightning bolt for anything. You saw the first dunk that he had after the ACC tournament. Every single outlet was posting that dunk. Zion's back. Zion's returned. This guy is a lightning bolt for media. He is an attention grabber. That is a star, and you don't even need to sign him in free agency. I mean, every team's going to pick him number 1, but it seems perfect for the Knicks, right?
There's only 2 teams I want to see Zion Williamson in next year. One of them is greedy of me because I am a fan of that team, and that is the Bulls. The other team is the New York Knicks. I'm sorry, like Cleveland fans, Sun fans, any other fan that could win the first overall pick.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Zion in any jersey. I mean, an LA jersey would be nice, but it ain't going to happen.
Don't
like a
that.
Laker jersey.
Don't you put that
disgusting.
Like those teams towards the end of the lottery, I'm just not expecting them to win the lottery. I'm looking at the top.
Yeah.
And out of the top 5, if he ends up anywhere but the Knicks or the Bulls, I will be upset because those are the teams I want to see him on.
Do we need to talk about Zion? Well, here, this is what I'm going to say about Zion the player, and this is how highly I think of him. I thought of this last night, and this is when Duke they're playing against Syracuse and then obviously UNC as well.
Yep.
If you took him and put him on a grade school Montana basketball team and then put them in the tournament, I think they might win the championship. He is that good.
He's insane.
He's ridiculous. I mean, you can look at his shot. He hit a couple 3-pointers, which was impressive, but also his shot's not something that's going to transfer to the NBA. But he's got better defenders. He's got guys guarding him tightly, guys who aren't afraid of him driving because he's going to be a monster driving no matter what. But if they're going to close him out and make him drive, again, 2's bigger than 3. He's not going to make those shots comfortably. But when he's getting room against Nassir Little, who's afraid of him driving because he's just going to put his shoulder into him and kill Nassir Little, he can take those 3s. He's not going to be a great 3-point shooter, but that's something that I think
as long as it's an option in his game.
Yeah, it's an option right now.
Honest.
It's an option right now. Shoot the 3 if you want. You're in college, kid.
No, I think even at the NBA level, like even though he won't have a great shot, it's just keep them honest. Force them to try to close out on you, so you do have that lane to drive in. Yeah,
and we see with Ben Simmons, that's something that you still want to see. Just like start shooting him, and that's what I think Brett Brown's been saying is just shoot him just to make that an option.
That's what Giannis did.
Yeah,
he's not been a spectacular shooter, but the last 2 years he's added that 3-point shot to his game, which does give him an extra step on people.
And that's the thing, his form is horrible, Zion's, but if it's going in, I mean, hell, it's going to make him that much better of a player. But I mean, you see what he's done in the past 2 games, and he just is the most effortless athlete I think I've seen maybe outside of LeBron James. But even LeBron, it just seems like LeBron seems like a tight end. Like Zion's kind of like a ballerina or something. But also a truck. Like I don't know how to describe him. It's a marvel to watch him.
It's funny that you bring that magical name up because remember what I said when this whole process started that I feel like when he gets to the NBA and LeBron does eventually retire, Zion will be the next best player in the NBA.
No.
The next one we talk about.
100% no. I think he might be the most exciting player, but I don't think he's ever going to be the best player. Like, you look at because T-Mac even led the league in scoring. Like, I don't know what player, maybe like Dwight was fun, but he was never the best player in the league. Like, I don't know which player is the most exciting, but not the best. Like, he's going to be a top 15 player. He probably will be in top 10. Shaq was the best player in the league.
Michael Jordan?
99 to 2003.
Oh, I'm thinking Orlando Magic Shaq.
No, because Shaq was still probably the best player in the league.
I'm talking about kid
in
Shaq.
Laker Shaq. Because he probably wasn't even the best big man in the league at that point because you still had Ewing, you still had Robinson, you still had Hakeem. So there was a ton of big men at that point. I don't know the last time, but I think he's going to be one of those guys that is just the most exciting player, but he's not the best player because I don't think he can be a guy that scores like a LeBron-esque, or he can pass the ball like LeBron. I don't think he's ever going to be that all-around. I'm saying these things, but I don't want to put a cap on him because he fucking will.
Because even though he's not as natural a passer as LeBron James is, since LeBron was in grade school, basically, this kid had point guard magic level skills to him. Zion doesn't have that, but Zion is making the right passes in a lot of situations. And he's impressed us with his ability to have that court vision, to know when to dish the ball out.
Yeah, he can run a fast break.
He can absolutely run the fast break. He is dangerous in transition. Just outright dangerous. I would get the fuck out of his way. I don't care if it's 1-on-4. Nope. Not standing in front of that
Otherwise,
shit.
You're going to be like something we watched before the podcast, Leonard Fournette, Old Miss defender, you're just going to get run right over.
Yeah, no.
We'll put him in the grave.
It's disturbing.
And that was the thing is, like, I will bring this guy up later, but he was killing them early, UNC, last night.
Yeah.
And they put Nassir Little on after they called the timeout 2:19.
Put the clamps on him.
And then after they put Nassir Little on him, Zion was just dominant. 9 of 11 from the field, 1 of 1 from the line, 1 3-pointer, 7 total rebounds, 2 offensive boards, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 1 personal foul. He didn't have any movement in the start of the second. He didn't have any action until 14:42, but then he just came back and started putting up more points. There was no match for them. That he had. You couldn't put Luke May on him because Luke May is too slow.
Yeah.
Luke May has the size, kind of, but he's just too slow to guard Zion. You're like, all right, Nassir's got this framework. He's got long athleticism, but Zion just put his body into him, and he was going 3 rows back.
Yeah.
Like there was no answer for him, and I think that when you get to the NBA level, that there's going to be an answer, but he still might be too big, too fast, too strong for everybody. I don't know if. I hate putting a cap on him that he's not going to be the best player in the NBA, but he might be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who can stop him.
Here's a question with Zion. This has nothing to do with his play. It's just a fun question that I thought about. If you could give, out of the teams in the lottery, the one team you'd want him to go to the most, the one team you do not want him to go to no matter what.
I think we all know
who would
my
be number
team to
one,
not go to.
who would be the absolute bottom?
I was going to ask that question. What we should do is top 3 teams you want, rank them, best to worst, top 3, and then give the least. I'll start. I'll say Knicks number 1. I'll say 2. I want to see him on the what team was that? I totally forgot about it. The fucking Mavericks. If the Mavericks get the 5, if they get top 5 pick, I would love to see Zion, or number 1 pick.
Yeah,
if they get the number 1 pick, I would love to see him with Luka Doncic, just for personal reasons.
Kristaps.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
the defense with Kristaps and him.
Yeah.
You don't go to the hole.
Get that out of here.
3 is the Hawks, because him and Trae Young would be the most fun team, I think, in
And
the
John
league.
Collins.
Yeah, because they're already fun. They're and Kevin Herter, like that team's fun already. You had Zion, that'd be my top 3. Least is the Lakers. I do not want to see him and LeBron together.
Really?
No, not at all. I have no interest.
So
Adding that to like
Fast
if they
break
keep
Zion,
Lonzo,
LeBron.
if they keep Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, that would be fun. But I don't know.
Lonzo, full court passing.
Yeah.
Either Zion or LeBron.
I
lose.
get sick of the Lakers and Knicks really easily.
Yeah.
So then if you just hear like Zion and LeBron, and if Zion has a better game than LeBron, we're just gonna hear, oh, is he the best player on the team? Like I don't want to hear those. I don't want to hear those dumb storylines. I just don't. That's my opinion on that.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, the Lakers thing, I understand the hate because it's the Lakers. But I mean, I'm with you. I think the top of mine is very similar. I'm definitely looking at. I want to see him on the Knicks. I absolutely would love to have him on the Bulls. Or I would love to have him on the Hawks. Like, those are my 3 teams. Give me any of those 3 and I'm happy. Weirdly, I know the Bulls should be number 1. They're just not. I want the Knicks to have somebody who doesn't suck. Like, give them somebody and let's see the Knicks be great again. You know?
Yeah.
It's been forever since they've been relevant.
That's the thing with the Knicks is like, I'm frustrated with their lack of ability to sign people.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't want their fans to not have anybody.
Do you think
like him in the Mecca
Yeah.
would be fantastic. I don't want James Dolan to have him, but like again, like
It's
him
true.
playing in New York being great, having like MSG be like super lively and pumped up, that'd be awesome.
Do you think that would be the biggest mistake is trading him? Because I know that was one of the things that was tossed out there was trading Zion to get Anthony Davis.
I wouldn't do it.
Do you think that would be a mistake still?
absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too. I think that we brought that up just because like I think I kept putting that like limit in my head, like he can't be the best player in the NBA, but I don't see a way he's
Coming
not.
off
Like he
of an
can't.
injury, he looks even better.
Yeah, he can't shoot from, and it wasn't that serious. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
They just didn't want to play him in games that didn't matter, and him actually getting hurt. But like I don't like. You look at Giannis, and Giannis is close to being the best player in the league. Like I think he can be that. Like he's obviously not as big, he's not as long as Giannis. But I
he's
think he could
brick
be
shithouse
he could
strong.
be similar to fucking Giannis, and like him going up for dunks is the most impressive thing I've seen in the NBA for a long time. Like
Yeah.
he glides so effortlessly, and he flies and
Yep.
jumps and leaps so effortlessly. He's just so fun to watch. So I think him in New York would be awesome.
Yeah. I'm with you though. I think the one team I don't want to see is him on the Lakers.
Really?
I don't want to see. I don't want LeBron James rewarded
So-
for not playing games.
They're not. The Lakers aren't my top 3.
Weirdly enough, it's not Memphis though. So there you go, Memphis fans.
That's what
Memphis
I thought
would be
you were
cool.
going to pick.
I don't hate you.
I thought
Memphis
you were
would be
going to pick
awesome.
the
I know.
Memphis.
I
as
would
the
lean
last
into
one.
it, but like I'm
You
not.
see Memphis, him and Jaren Jackson, that'd be so fun.
Right?
That'd be awesome.
I know.
See, I'm going to throw a curveball at you with my top three.
Is it the Bulls?
Well, no,
Bulls, the
that's
Bulls,
not,
and the Bulls.
no, that's
The
a
Bulls,
fastball.
Bulls.
2 straight fastballs, but obviously the Bulls. I'm a Bulls fan.
Yep.
The Knicks at 2. With number 3, 76ers.
How are they
The
getting
Kings. The King pick goes to 1. It goes to Philly.
in? Oh, so
And then they take Zion. Could you imagine Joe, Ben, and Zion on that team?
Ugh. No spacing.
No, I'm good.
No spacing.
That's bad.
I want to know what Jake thinks about that one. The
Jake
team
would shit
Yeah,
himself.
5 people playing from inside the paint.
The team I don't want him to go to is the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I don't want
Really?
I don't want them to have with how everything's going on with Anthony Davis. I don't want them to have Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson and a possible Julius Randle at the same time. I just don't want them to have to. And then they trade AD
And they got Ja.
and they get Julius, Ja, and Zion.
Yeah.
I know you were probably saying Ja as a joke, but I'll throw him in there anyways.
Julia
I just
Okafor is still hilarious. I don't care.
I just don't want that's
balling.
a team where it's like some odd reason to where I'm like, no, I don't want to see him in a Pelican jersey.
Fair enough. Would be a nice transition for them.
I wouldn't mind him in a Pelican jersey. I mean, because I do want to see the New Orleans stay, and if they don't get a big player and they lose AD, I don't know if they're going to stay in New Orleans. Because with their ownership, I don't know what the deal is.
Well, the
with
Saints
that team.
just bought him.
But they're right now the woman that Tom Benson married, his wife, is currently being sued by his daughters because they're not her biological mother,
Right.
and apparently they have a very tenuous relationship, and he always promised his daughter that she would be the next owner, and now that they're pretty much saying that
married,
his wife screwed him over when he was sick. And wrote her name in his will.
Understood.
So there's currently battleship over the ownership. So if the NBA is like, well, this is getting too toxic, we're just stripping ownership, and then they
Basically
they
like
put it up for
they
sale.
did.
Forced sale, yeah.
Like they did with the Clippers, obviously a
Right.
completely
Different
different
circumstances.
circumstance.
Different, but yeah, it'd be they might go to Seattle. So I think
would be
that would keep
interesting.
them.
If New Orleans, I'm not saying this is a knock for you, but I love
we
the
need Seattle.
Supersonics.
We need Seattle back.
Bring back the Supersonics.
I would rather just see more teams. I'd rather just go to 32.
I'm cool with that as well.
Yeah, and then have a 16-team lottery. What would be the other team then? For if they
Vegas.
Vegas. Okay.
Vegas and
100%
Seattle.
Vegas, yeah.
Or do you go back to Vancouver?
No.
And then you can move Memphis to the Eastern.
And the Timberwolves, probably.
Or New Orleans. Oh, New Orleans. Yeah, because we're spanning 32,
Yeah.
so New Orleans too. All right, let's move away from Zion Williamson. He's fun. He's great.
He's the best.
He's the best
Yeah.
player in the draft. I liked Magic Vagberg. Shout out. He put it on Twitter. His tier of players. Tier 1 was Zion Williamson. He had nobody at tier 2, and then tier 3 was full. That's how much of a difference it is, and I agree. Let's move to number 2 though. Suns taking Ja Morant for all of us. This was more of a fit thing because we had the Ja versus RJ thing. You guys are on the side of Ja's better. I think that there's an argument for RJ Barrett being better, but there is no fit in my mind on the Suns for RJ Barrett. That's why they go Ja Morant, because he is a point guard. He can facilitate, he can pass, he could score and help out Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I think he'd just be a great addition. And if he can play defense, that would help Devin Booker's downfall of not playing defense. And I think those two would be a very interesting pair to see in the backcourt.
Oh my God, that would make them one of the most fun teams in the league to watch. So I would absolutely love it. Their offensive potential goes off the charts because giving DeAndre Ayton a pure point guard to work with, their pick and roll, pick and pop game instantly explodes. Like having a true point guard unlocks everything about this team that would make them awesome. They have a head coach who excelled by having a fantastic, unselfish point guard, and that's what his system's known for. And because you guys are wedging Devin Booker, and then eventually moved over to what's the guy they picked up from the
Tyler Johnson.
Thank you, Tyler Johnson. I knew it was Tyler. I was thinking Eifert because you mentioned Eifert earlier, and I was like, nope, that's wrong.
Staying a Bengal.
Tyler Johnson, who has been an interesting temporary fit for them. No, having someone like Ja who has the court vision and passing ability that he has, it would be amazing. This team would be amazing. They'd be dropping 120 a night, no problem. And then, like you said, his athleticism leads us to believe that when he's not expending 110% on offense, he will be able to play some level of average NBA defense to help make up for Devin Booker's deficiencies.
They are 5-5 in the last 10. The Suns are too.
And honestly,
that Johnson
they had
pickup has been nice.
They had a chance to win. I don't know if you saw the fact that they had a breakaway dunk. They lost, I think it was 104, 107 or something like that. But they had a breakaway dunk attempt, and of course Kelly Oubre fucking yammed it. He absolutely, he goes to do a double pump on it, and he just bounces it right out. It's you fucking putz. You could have beat the Rockets you could have beat the Rockets, but it's a 4-point swing right there.
Yeah. Ricky, what was your point? Because
I mean, the thing that I just think about is this, to me, pick-wise, is like the most boring, with me, most boring analysis. It's like, well, Ricky, why do they pick Ja? I don't know, they need a point guard.
Yeah,
well,
they literally don't have one.
Like, this is the one position where it's like, duh, that's what you need. Where the thing that I almost think is...
But how is it boring if you think he's the best player?
Well, it's like, it's just, to me, it's like there's no debate. Like, because there's no debate in my mind, I look at it and go, well, there's not much to talk about here. But the thing that I think about with the Suns is, because we all have them going with Ja Morant, it's like, the thing I think is, with Ja on this team, and the 5 for 5 kind of gives you a little hope, but it's like, will this finally be the piece to bring the Suns out of
the top
5? Yeah, out of the top of the draft and finally make them to where they're like the Kings, where the Kings are not in the top 5. They were fighting for a playoff spot this year until recently.
My thing was just, I think it would be a piece to help them. I don't know if it is, and it's just really then dependent on the GM and the coach. And like, if that,
which that front office is a huge question mark even right now. It's like, what are they doing?
They have a ton of talent if they take Ja Morant. It's just not putting that together. However, the one thing I'll ask is, what's the biggest downside to Ja Morant being on this team? Like, do you see any that are apparent? Like, what negatives would Ja Morant bring to the Suns? Because, yes, he's a point guard. He fits. He does everything that you want in a point guard. He passes the ball around. He has great assist numbers. He plays decent defense, could be even better defense. He could score, drive, and attack the rim. What's the negative side of Ja Morant?
For me, it's when he's asked to play a smaller role will be the biggest question mark is...
How does he fit with Devin Booker in that regard?
When you're not the guy who needs to put up 30 a night, what's going to happen to his game? I mean, I assume he'll get better shots and he should shoot more efficiently, but that assumes that he'll actually fall in line in the system, which we don't know if he'll do. He is a second-year player in college, so we watched him play a smaller role his first year being a backup guard, and he did okay, and all his shooting splits improved while he expanded his usage, which is wonderful. But now what happens when you take that down a notch? When you're not asking him to score 30 a night with 10 assists and 10 rebounds, you know? Like, what's his game going to look like at that next level when he doesn't have to do that every night? And when like, no, we get it, we love you, but Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton are 1 and 2 scoring options. You're the third, and you need to respect that. You need to give them their opportunities first.
Well, the thing, too, you look at the advanced numbers for Ja compared to freshman year compared to his sophomore year, when his usage went up 13%.
That's insane.
That's insane. It went from 20.4 to 33.6. And you look at the per 40 for that, his freshman year is averaging 14.9, 7.4 assists, 7.6 boards. So right there, that even just shows you that although his usage wasn't high, he was still doing things very effectively per 40. And he was shooting 45% from the field, and then 30% from 3, and then 80% from the line. And he's just improved those numbers and those splits, field goal percentage-wise, up to 50% from the field, 33% from 3, 81% from the line. I mean, obviously, he took a jump up 13 points in points per game, 14.9 to 27. He went up clearly in assists, 7.4 to 11 assists, and then 7.6 boards down to 6.1, but that doesn't really matter too much when you have DeAndre Ayton out there.
Yeah.
I think the biggest negative is that, though, is how is he going to work off ball? And is he going to be like Russ? Russ can't play off ball. He just stands there. He's not engaged in the offense.
Yeah.
And if his comparison is Russ, is he going to be like Russ in that aspect, or is he going to be active? Because if he's active, it can be a great addition. But if he's not engaged in the play like you're saying, that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, for me, I wonder, and the Suns are kind of in a catch-22 with this, because the other thing I kind of thought was, oh, well, do you kind of see if there's a team that really wants Ja, get an extra pick for next year, trade back, see if you can get a Darius Garland. But like I was looking, I was like, no, I wouldn't do that, because every flaw that Darius Garland has, Ja Morant doesn't have that flaw. And with me, I'd rather kind of see if this works of like, can he play off ball? Well, we'll find out. I'd rather take that risk than like, this is another, like you asked, do the Knicks trade Zion? Well, here too, do the Suns trade away from taking Morant? God, no, please don't do that. Just take him and whatever you need to let it work, because although some people would say, where's the track record? Because it's a small track record. I feel like Coach Igor could get Ja to buy into the system. Because up until this point, I know that it's the OVC and everyone's bashing on Murray State in their conference. but no one's come out and said there's any ego problems or personality problems with John Morant. So I would have no worry about drafting him and then fitting him into a role that he needs to play for this team.
Yeah, I think.
And if everyone eats, everyone's happy.
Yeah, and that's the one thing too is like you see right now, even though they're a bad team, like Ayton's still not getting enough shots. So then
and he's putting up good numbers, which is the crazy thing is he's shooting at an incredible rate for a rookie.
That's why if you're giving him more, what will he do?
Yeah,
because if he's still going to keep up that efficiency,
oh my God,
then it's going to be crazy. So that's the thing is like I don't know if there's enough shots to go around, but if you have a point guard that's going to pass the ball around, maybe it will work out. So I think it's a risk. I don't even think it's a risk. It's just something you need to do. Like that's plain and simple. You need to take this.
I don't think they can pass on him. I literally think that like if you're the Knicks, or whoever you are at 1, you have to take Zion, and if you're the Bulls or the Suns, you have to take John Morant at 2.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I look at these teams and there's clear players that they need to take. Like if for the Knicks, Suns, and Bulls, it's Zion or Ja.
Yep.
For both of them, and really the other guys do not fit for their teams. Where the Cavs, they can take anybody. The Hawks, they can take anybody. I think the Knicks can take anybody, but like for the Knicks to be successful with how bad they've been, they need to get one of those top 2 players. Yeah. So with those 3 teams, they need to get Zion or Ja, or I think their seasons are just complete failures. Obviously, they're bad on the court, but then being
have
bad
to really
didn't result in a yield. Exactly. Especially for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Would you throw the Grizzlies in there?
No, Grizzlies can take anything.
Okay. Because the part of me is like, you've got Mike Conley still under contract, but we're assuming him to get traded next year, right? That's what I'm thinking.
That doesn't matter because you look at the youth on this team, the centerpiece of it
for the
is
Grizzlies,
Jared
it's Zion, and then at 2, okay, we can kind of have a discussion.
I think it's really anybody because you look at Jaren Jackson. He's like you could take Sekou as a project. You could take Garland, who we'll talk about later because I think he's a great fit.
Yeah.
You could take probably Jackson Hayes would be the only one, but you're not going to take a center there when you have Jaren Jackson. That's the point. Is Jaren Jackson was already the youngest player last year, so he's still extremely young.
Yep.
You can do anything with this team. I think the Grizzlies have a really blank canvas. Wizards really and Wizards if they get Zion that would be great. But like they're just so far out. Like if we're talking about teams that have a shot at the number 1 pick, like that are in the top 5, really Knicks, Suns, and Bulls, they need Zion or Ja, and then everybody else can really fill in the gaps there. Let's move now to the Cavs. I have R.J. Barrett, Ricky, R.J. Barrett, Dave, R.J. Barrett. You talked about Colin Sexton earlier, Ricky. You wanted to bring him up. How does R.J. Barrett fit with Colin Sexton?
Yeah, for me, it's just one of those things where I looked at the Cavs at 3, and he's the best player available. And it's like, my biggest question would be, does the Mamba mentality of R.J. Barrett and how, like, Dave, we were kind of mentioning where it's like, I threw up from the comment section that people were like, oh, if R.J. Barrett was in the OVC, he'd be putting up 30 points a night. And like you were saying, he'd be taking all the tons of garbage shots that he's just chucking up there. There would be a little bit of worry for me of can that mesh with Colin Sexton? But at the same time, the Cavaliers need somebody that can be the number 2, number 1, no matter who's who. They need somebody that they can pair with Colin Sexton. And we've talked about it before. We talked about, I think, in that segment where we talked Ja and RJ. The Mamba mentality isn't bad. He just needs to be coached a little bit, I would say, and kind of fit into a role because right now it's just, Zion's eclipsing me. And what do I do to up my draft stock? Because when we see Duke without Zion, I'm not saying that's what he's exactly thinking.
Yeah, I think it's just
but
more
it's
of...
like that Duke team is such an anomaly because we've never seen this before. And Zion is such a huge figure that he eclipses the entire team just by being on the court.
I don't think he has a personality problem where he's going to like...
and I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah, but that's... I think that's kind of what... Like, he needs to be the center of attention. I don't think that's true. However, I think that those two play styles will clash a bit.
But does he need to be the guy? Huh? Not be the most important, but they need to be the guy with the ball in his hand.
Like, for the Cavs to be successful, yes. Because he's going to be drafted and he's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And that's with Colin Sexton on this team, no matter what. Because he's a higher draft pick, better player. He's going to be the guy. The one thing is just then can Colin Sexton play off ball, which I hope he can do. I don't know if he can. But even then, when he has the ball, he's not a guy who's facilitating. So you really can't have R.J. Barrett play off ball because R.J. Barrett not smell the ball with Colin Sexton. So that's the one problem I have with them together is, you look at Colin Sexton, he's the young bull. He's got this mentality of, even at Alabama, at the Cavs now, he has this mentality of he needs to take him on his back, he needs to score 20 a night. And that's how we're going to be successful, or I'll look successful. And you look at RJ, I think RJ will have that. He has a similar personality in that as well, but he's a more willing passer than Colin Sexton. So I think for them to be successful, the ball needs to be in RJ's hands. And if that means Colin Sexton is going to fall off as a prospect, oh well, you got to go after the guy who's going to be the better player. And I think RJ has that ability to be an all-star at best at this league. I don't think he's going to be a star, but I think he's got that level of being a 23, 24 night scorer with getting like 6 assists a night. Like I think he's going to be a pretty good wing. And I think that Colin Sexton's top, I don't think is really an all-star level from what we've seen. I think he can be a starter, but I think his role needs to expand a ton where RJ can step in, he can play his game right away. And I just worry how those two are going to clash. And will he eclipse Colin Sexton when we get to the NBA level if they're on the same team?
Random thought that just popped into my head. If you're the Cavs and the right team called at the right spot, could we see a potential, what we saw with the Hawks and Mavs last year, of like, okay, RJ would be the guy that we have to pick here because obviously he's the best on the board.
Yep.
But I don't think he fits with this team. Oh, so-and-so is calling. Because the next 2 picks after the Bulls at 4 and then Hawks. Let's say it's the Grizzlies at 7. Oh, well, we can make a trade with the Grizzlies, get an additional draft pick, and then we can take a 3 later. Or we can take a position. We maybe like this player better. Could we see the Cavs do that where they make a Hawks-Mavs kind of a trade instead of drafting Barrett at 3? Or would that be like, no, don't do that at all?
I probably wouldn't do that. Just knowing RJ Barrett, we looked at him coming into the year as the number 1 overall pick, and for a good reason. Like he can score from anywhere. He, like Sean said, is a decent enough passer, especially from the wing position, and he gets you boards. Like he has everything you want in a number 1.
Well, we had him at number 1. Sean had Romeo Langford.
Shut up, he's at 12.
Right. So moving
you
along.
You and RJ at 2 though, Sean. You're okay.
Moving along. Everybody had.
I knew he wasn't going to be number 1, guys. That was my reasoning.
I mean,
but back to RJ.
So I think that I don't think they should pass back on that. I think that you absolutely take RJ Barrett here. I don't think he's a bad fit necessarily. I agree with Sean in the fact that you might not have, a true ball handler at all times because you have, basically in Colin Sexton, you have an undersized 2 guard and RJ playing the 3. I think that you can go out and get yourself a true point, unselfish, maybe later in this draft or next year, and solve that or free agency.
I think that's the thing is it's going to be really interesting is I wonder, I'm not really up to date on the Cavs cap situation because why would I? It's not important.
Outside of Kevin Love and TT, they're not terrible.
Yeah, well, and then the JR thing,
is an attractive contract for people because of his cap cut.
But if they do have the money, would a Ricky Rubio be willing or a Rondo be willing to go over? Because if you put Rondo
hates Cleveland, Yeah,
that's true. Who doesn't though? I think
true.
The only person that doesn't
Rondo
is
loves money, though.
Clevelanders, and then LeBron because that's your hometown.
Right.
We get it. But I don't think anyone's ever like, oh yeah, I'm going to a getaway destination vacation to Cleveland, Ohio.
No, that's fair.
And I think, but if you throw enough money at him, if you have the money available, I think a Rubio or a Rondo, a veteran who can pass the ball, and facilitate and be a leader out there. I think that would be a very interesting fit because Barrett could play the 3. You could have Sexton at the 2. You can have Love at the 4, and then at the 5 you could roll out TT when healthy. You could play undersized 5 there. Chris has been.
I say keep going. There's something better.
He had one game that was good. Larry Nance. Yeah, Larry Nance.
There we go. Larry Nance works out well as an undersized 5. I like him in the same kind of role that Bobby Portis plays.
Yeah, I think that's
high
just
energy
guys
guy.
that you go and hell, Bobby Portis is probably gonna be a free agent. So
he's gonna get paid.
Yeah,
by
you
somebody,
can go after that. So I think that there's ways to counteract it. I just think best player available, go and get it. And it's RJ Barrett in my mind. It's not really close.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just want to throw it out there. They may not have to go get somebody.
Right.
Because they do have on their roster still Brandon Knight. And, I'm only bringing this up because According to Chris Federer of Cleveland.com, Larry Drew said to him, he's the Brandon that I remember, probably not as explosive as he's been in the past prior to the injury, but still a guy who has a tremendous work ethic and he competes. That's the thing I admire about him and respect about him. He's a team player, and he's going to give you everything he has when he's on the floor.
Yeah, and he's going to give everything he has, and he's going to get injured again. That's Brandon Knight for you. And right now he's averaging 4.2 assists.
I mean,
that's not enough in my mind.
They
if you're going to play with Colin Sexton, you're going to play with RJ Barrett, you need to move the ball.
They're going to pay him $15.5 million next year. I mean,
and that's a team that doesn't have a true point. And you say 4.2 assists. I'm like, that's not terrible considering the situation he's stuck in, where you have a team with a ball hungry Colin Sexton on it, and a bunch of injured players. So like, I love Brian Knight. You guys know this. I've been rooting for this kid for the last 4 years to not break himself in half.
I'm not rooting against him,
but
I want to make that clear.
I'm not putting money on him being my point guard.
You can't go after that plan. No. Like, if he's going to come in and he's going to play better than the point guard you sign.
Is it weird that you call him kid, but he's 2 years younger than us?
Still a kid.
If you
it feels like it because I've been I've been rooting for him since he was like 22, and he's been hurt for the last 5 years.
And if he comes in and you sign a guy like, let's say, Rondo. You sign a guy like Rondo, and like Rondo just isn't playing as well as you expect him to, and Knight comes in off the bench and he does play well. That's great. That's great. But you cannot have your plan being Brandon Knight, because it's bound. I think it's written in his contract that he needs to get injured.
Yeah.
Like that's just what the guy's got the worst luck when it comes to health.
It's terrible too.
People always overlook D Rose, and like D Rose is an MVP candidate and how bad injuries have hurt him. He's been able to bounce back. Brandon Knight was a 20-point game scorer. Like, he was a guy or close to a 20-point game scorer, 19 in Cleveland. And he looked like a guy that was going to be able to shoot from deep. He was going to be able to pass. Like, he was going to be an all-around great point guard. Yeah. And he's just never been healthy enough to
think
ever
about the point
back.
guards they moved on from because they had Brandon Knight.
Dragic, Isaiah Thomas.
There's one more.
Who's the other guy?
Hang on.
Eric Bledsoe.
Eric Bledsoe.
So there you go.
Eric Bledsoe is more so other reasons, but he didn't want to be there. Yeah,
you don't want to be there because he was at the hair salon.
Yep.
But yeah, I just think that if you're the Cavs, go after the best player, and that's my idea with the top three guys. It's just like the top three are very clear. It's just take the one that fits best for you. If you're at number one, it's Zion. Don't even question it. Yep. If you're two, you're the Suns or Bulls, need a point guard. Take John Morant. I'm in the idea if you're the Cavs or the Hawks at two, go RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
And then if and then who has ever left at three? Because even if the Bulls are at three and Ja Morant's off the board, go after RJ Barrett because he's the best player
100%.
in this draft.
100%. I don't think I would pass. Like I said, like even if a team, I know you mentioned the Grizz, but they don't really control their pick because of the Celtics next year likely.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would forfeit more future draft capital to try to move up for him. But maybe another team in here like the Wizards or something might do something crazy. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Wolves that we talked about. They get screwed. They don't get the Ja or the Zion they want. I have them going Jarrett Culver. Ricky, you have them going Cam Reddish. And Dave, you also have them going Jarrett Culver. The We Agree podcast is in full force. Let's talk about Culver's fit and Cam Reddish's fit. Dave, we'll start with Culver since we got two against one here. How do you like Culver's fit, and why did you have the Bulls taking him?
I went with Culver because he's a two-way player, and he's showing that even though his game is ugly at times, he gets it done, and I think that's what I love. He has that drive during games where you watch him will plays to happen, and he's a gamer. He's always on. He's always engaged. He's always locked in, and that's one of the things about Cam that has scared me off. Like, to counterpoint that is Cam is one of those guys who is very wishy-washy on how engaged he is during games. Sometimes you see him get hot, and man, that guy is asking for the ball left and right. He's sinking shots from the outside, and it looks smooth. But other games, and more often than not, unfortunately, he is an afterthought. He is a shadow on the outside, and it seems like he's not all there, and that scares me. For someone of his level of talent coming in, and I understand his team has an interesting situation, and he's not the number one guy or the number two guy necessarily, but he's still a guy who's not all there. And Jarrett Culver is someone who is continuing to improve his game. And the fact that he is a true two-way stud, I'm like, that's a leader on a team. That's someone who's got the intangibles. That's a locker room guy. That's who I want to bring in on my team.
That's where I completely agree with you there, is I'm not really going to talk about Cam here. I'll talk about him when it comes to the Hawks. But when I was looking at it, I clearly they need someone to move the ball around. They need someone to lead the offense. And while that person is not there, because I think Darius Garland, people will be asking, well, he's a point guard. He's not a guy that I think is going to be a point guard in traditional ways. He's going to be a scorer, and that's what he's going to do. I think he can pass. He's a willing passer. He's not going to not pass the ball and be a ball hog. But he does dominate the ball, and he is a guy that's going to try to score every single time he has the ball. If he's double teamed, if he's in a trap spot, he'll pass the ball away. But he's going to be a guy that if you give him a one-on-one, Garland's going to take him. Where I feel Culver, while he isn't going to be your traditional point guard like a Trae Young, like a Steve Nash, like a even Ja Morant in those ways, I think he is going to be a guy that is a very decent passer, especially if this is going to be a team where Levine's going to drive in, he knows he's not going to get a shot off, he dishes out to Markkanen, they swing it to Porter, and they swing it around to Culver, or Culver's in the corner. Like I just think that they're going to be able to use team passing more than just a traditional point guard, and I think when you're in this spot where there isn't a point guard to be that traditional guard, you need to at least get a decent passer. And I look at, Culver's ability to get assists on this Texas Tech team. He's a decent ball handler. I think that putting him on this team where it's really you can put him outside the arc and, if you're passing an open three to him, he's going to knock it down. So I think just within the team, he's going to be a guy that just fits him. All five of those guys can pass if it's Wendell Carter Jr., Markkanen, Porter, Levine, and Culver. Yep. All those guys can pass. All those guys can shoot. It's going to be perimeter attacking basketball and then driving and dishing. I think that's going to be the way that the Bulls are probably going to work offensively if that is the pick of Culver. So I think this is just going to fit into a team offense where Markkanen could score 30 a night, Levine can score 30 a night, but they don't have to because they have that ability to pass. And even Porter as well. Porter can score 30 a night. So I think it's just another complementary piece to not really make it a full, complete offense, but just making it something where, everyone, there's not one guy that needs to take on this load. Like Levine doesn't need to transition to a point guard. You can just have a guard bring the ball up and then work the team offense. So that's my idea with the Culver thing, because I don't think Reddish is going to be able to do that for the Bulls. But you have him going Reddish, Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the main thing is, number one, the usage percentage is different with Cam and Jarrett, where part of me is, and this isn't a huge thing of, I know Cam right now is used to not having that high usage, and we are going to have automatic. We're going to have Zach LaVine, top 10 in the NBA. No, I'm kidding. But the usage, he's going to be not the one or two guy. The thing that I am sitting here as a Bulls fan and just, I don't know if I'm worried about it or if I want it to happen if we don't get one or two. Mm-hmm. Like in my mind, I want one or two because we get Zion or we get Ja. But for me, I might not want to pick fourth. And the reason why is, you might say, well, Ricky, you're stupid. You can either get Cam Reddish. If you get three, you can get RJ Barrett. But there's a part of me that is I am readily and waiting for my worst nightmare to happen, where the Bulls fall to 6 or 7. And the Bulls are the 6th or 7th pick. And in this worst nightmare, Darius Garland is off the board before the Bulls pick, to where I'm like, great. Yikes. Now everything we need is gone. Yeah. There's part of me that's thinking, hey, at 4, do a flop. Do a flip. Trade back and get Darius Garland because you don't really need either Cam Reddish. We don't need Cam Reddish or Jarrett Culver, but Darius Garland is the guy we need.
Why do you think you need him?
Because we need a point guard.
But that's just putting a position there where that's the
we need a point guard and can get an additional.
But
pick.
he's not a traditional point guard. But he's going to be a guy that I think that him and Levine have too much overlap. Levine and Garland are both guys that if you give them one-on-ones, they're going to try to attack and score the basketball, and that's going to kill your team momentum. I think that those are guys that, like Devin Booker, you look at him, Devin Booker's a guy that's going to try to score on every single possession. Garland's the same way, and Levine's the same way, especially if they're both hot. That's going to just slow down an offense. It's going to kill momentum. It's going to kill passing, and it's going to kill your offense. I don't feel like that's going to be the most efficient way. And also another thing with Garland, too, is just this is a guy that we've only seen 5 games out of, and his 3 best games have been between non-Power 5 conferences.
And the combine is going to tell us a lot.
Yes, it is. But I just think that you're asking a lot just because this guy's small and he's a guard. Like, I don't think he's the guard that you're thinking of or the Bulls need. The Bulls need a guy that the ball is going to flow through, that's not going to dominate positions, because you have Markkanen, a guy who can put up 20 a night. You have Porter, who I think should not be limited again, because we've seen when he's come over to the Chicago Bulls that he's been a phenomenal player on this team, because he's not limited like he was in Washington. And clearly you don't want to limit Zach LaVine, because he's a guy that can have the hottest months in all the NBA. You look at that February month, it was absolutely insane what he was doing. You cannot limit what this team has done offensively, and drafting Darius Garland might slow that offense down. Do not go back just because he's a point guard. Go for a guy that's going to keep and fit into this offense. You have 3 stars. You don't need another one.
Yeah, I don't have that worry. I mean, I know the assist numbers were down in the small sample size that we saw.
2.6.
But I don't think the drafting...
It's not even the assist part, though.
Like, I don't even think that drafting Darius Garland would tank our team and make us super worse. Like, for me, the reason why I took Cam Reddish here was the 3-point percentage and what I think he will be. There's more with me. I am, what's the word I'm looking for? It just blanked in my head. I'm more confident in Cam Reddish's 3 from the NBA level than I am for Jarrett Culver. Not saying that I'm worried about Jarrett Culver because I've mocked him at 5 to the Hawks until I don't even think I had another pick after him there.
What about Cam's ability to shoot from the outside you like more than Culver's?
I am just more confident that he will hit at the NBA 3 at a higher percentage than Jarrett Culver.
Why?
Because for me, I've always had that. I've always had that worry with Jarrett Culver. At first, it was he can shoot the threes, 3 and D, and then I started watching. And I was like, you know what? He doesn't shoot as many threes as Cam Reddish does. But also, it's like when that line gets stepped back, is that percentage going to go down? And with Cam Reddish, I don't think that's the problem. With Jarrett Culver, moving that line back might affect his 3, especially when he's not shooting as many, shooting 3 less a game than Cam is.
To me, it's like when I look at the players now, the play style they model themselves after, like Jarrett Culver reminds me a lot of, I know you guys hate me, but like Jimmy Butler-esque play style. He's a gritty 2-guard out there who is playing the 3 at times.
I like Jimmy, just don't like his attitude. That's the thing I don't like about Jimmy. So,
no problems there.
Yeah, no problem.
But play style-wise, do you see what I'm saying in that front?
Yeah, and Jarrett Culver, if he was a Bull, I would not hate it. I'm not even trying to say that either. With me, I was just like, you know what?
Yeah. The 3 ball's not going to be a key to his game, but it's going to be a bonus to his game. Like, he's going to be one of those guys who can draw contact, who can go to the line, who can really work those situations and try to abuse some matchups, because I know it says he's 6'6", but like when you watch him on the court, he's got to be 6'7". He might be 6'7.5".
Well, I think the measurements are 6'5", so I think he's grown like 3 inches or something.
Yeah, he looks bigger and he's playing bigger, which is nice because in college, obviously you're going to be bigger than your opponents, but in the NBA, if he's playing a 2-guard and he's 6'7", 6'7.5", that's going to be a huge advantage. He'll be in that Chris mid-level of area of like, you're just that much better of a matchup. But I do agree that like Cam's 3-point shot, I think it's going to transition. I think that the thing with him, we've talked about all season, is just how much better can he be when he's not behind 2 other guys.
Zion and Ra. And RJ.
Yeah. And
I almost said Ra. Ra.
So I have no problem with the Bulls taking him there. But for me, it's just like, where's his will with the game? Like, does he want to be the guy? Can he get that at the NBA level if he goes to a team like the Bulls where we already have our 2 guys set?
Yeah, I'm going to bleed these conversations just because, Ricky, you have Culver going to the Hawks at 5, and then Dave and I both have Reddish going 5 to the Hawks.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the same players here. This is the biggest thing that I look for Cam Reddish in between Jarrett Culver. I think production is huge. And I understand Cam Reddish has the body, he has the athleticism, he has the it factor, like he has the length, he has everything you want in an NBA wing besides the production. But the production to me is huge. It's absolutely necessary for you to produce at a lower level. Because if you're not producing at a lower level, what can you do at an upper level? And I get that he has a more game tailored towards the NBA, but talent's going to win out. Yeah. And your mindset's going to win out. And right now, it's just not winning out. And I understand he's being pigeonholed into a role because of RJ and Zion. But still, talent's going to rise up to that level, and it never has for Cam. There's been flashes. There's been spurts more than a guy like Nassir Little.
Oh, yeah.
But it hasn't been enough. And that's the thing where I was even questioning putting him at 5. But I just think with the Hawks having 2 picks, there's no reason you shouldn't go with him because of the potential. But the production is not there. And I just want to back this up with some stats and some players. Since 2014-2015, because I didn't want to make it too big, 2014-2015 to now, and players from their freshman season, these are players that qualified for the points per game leaderboard. These are guys that are shooting under 40% from the field, that are shooting under 35% from 3, and are taking more than 5 threes a game and more than 10 shots a game. The players on this list come from Florida A&M, Detroit Mercy, Eastern Kentucky, Mount St. Mary's, Alabama A&M, South Carolina Upstate, Texas San Antonio. There are no division or Power 5 players on this list besides Cam Reddish. And you look at the guys on this list, none of them are guys that have been picked in the NBA. There is no production that matches Cam Reddish to warrant a top 10 pick.
But
the potential does, but the production doesn't. And I think production means something.
Yeah, but you got to understand, like, the thing that is the anomaly here with this is Duke in itself is the anomaly, where this might be the only time in a situation where I say, take that production and put it to the side. Because to me, it doesn't matter in this situation because this is something we've never seen before.
It's funny. He's also the only forward on that list.
We've never seen this before. We've never seen a team be this stacked. Like, yes, there have been stacked teams. People are probably going to say, well, Ricky, what about the Fab Five? And the Fab Five was a stacked team. But we have never seen a team since, especially we've been doing mock drafts, where early on, it was 1, 2, 3. My first big board, 1, 2, 3, Duke, Duke, Duke. And that's just how it was. To where the ball, like, there's only so many minutes in a game. There's only so many touches somebody can have. You have Zion Williamson, who is the best player in college basketball, the number 1 pick in this draft. You're not going to take the ball out of his hands.
But Ricky,
and then you have the Mamba mentality. I'm just saying.
Here's the thing. He's getting the ball. He's getting the ball. He's not getting the ball.
But
he's had games of 10 or more shots in 24 games. He's getting the ball. He's getting the opportunity to produce, and he's not.
What type of shots are
you
they?
You have R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
So he's getting open shots. They have 2 great scorers on this team in Zion and R.J. Barrett. He's not playing with bums who are getting open. He's not playing on Ja Morant. Like, he's not the guy that Ja Morant's passing to.
I'm not saying they're bums.
He's playing with Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett.
Yes.
So he's not getting shit shots. He's just not making these shots. And he's not making shots. When he gets 23 shots against UNC, he goes 6 of 23. Like, there's not a production. When he's playing Pitt, 4 of 16, 2 of 15 against NC State. There are games where he shuts down. And these are with top 3 picks on his team in R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson. He has help. He has help, and he's playing in a secondary role. And why do I trust a guy who cannot produce in a secondary role to be a top 5 pick? When has that ever panned out in the NBA?
For me, with this situation of, yes, I'm not saying that Zion and RJ are scrubs, but I like the comparison you brought up. What if this on a lesser scale is like Nassir Little, where we said about Nassir Little, what he probably shouldn't have went to UNC. Maybe it wasn't the best decision. With Cam Reddish, how would he be different if he was on a team not with RJ and Zion? We have asked that before, but I look at it, and I've seen Cam at his best. We've obviously seen him at his worst. And with me, I like the potential better in Cam Reddish than I do Jarrett Culver.
And that's fine.
I
agree.
I have a feeling that Cam is going to be that guy that teams go, fuck, why do we pass on him? We have the third,
disagree.
fourth pick. Why
I
do we
agree
pick on
that
him?
his potential is higher. He has a higher floor. There is no doubt. A 6'9" wing in this NBA that can shoot from the outside is key.
And play defense.
When he's engaged. He can play defense when he's engaged. But the thing is, I don't see enough to be like, yeah, that's my guy. I've never been able to look at Cam Reddish outside of the one shot he hit against Florida State and be like, that's him. That's my guy. I've never been able to be. I've never been wowed by Cam Reddish. Like, yes, he's had games where he's put up 27 points, but I've never been knocked down solid. That's my guy. I don't feel that after the top 3. And I look at just the fit of Jarrett Culver on the Bulls. He can move the ball around. He can play defense. That's what this team needs. And I know I'm going to get it to him because he's produced. And you know what? If Cam Reddish turns out to be an all-star, good for him. But I cannot look at him and be like, yeah, that's a top 5 pick. That's a guy that I'm proud of picking. I even was worried about putting him at the Hawks. But again, the potential cannot be passed up for the Hawks having 2 picks. They can waste a shot. If Cam Reddish doesn't pan out, oh well.
At worst, he's a 3-and-D player in the league, right?
At worst, he's a bench wing. And maybe he can,
Which will
run,
always have
he can
value.
run the fast break. Maybe he could shoot 35% from 3.
Yeah.
I just don't see it in him yet. And I want him to prove it. I want him to be good, but I have not seen it.
But at the same time, I'm going to throw this out there, and I know that this is going to be like why would you take this early in the draft? But I look at this Bulls team. Since we made the trade for Otto Porter, we have been a different team. We're actually winning ball games, which scares me. And to me, the biggest thing we need, no matter where we are, is Ja Morant. We need Ja Morant. We don't even need Zion over Ja. We need Ja Morant, number 1. Zion would be great. I'd love to have him. But we need Ja. And even if Cam Reddish for the Bulls is a bench 3-and-D wing, well, that's fine because we got Zach LaVine. We've got Otto Porter. This team is proving late in the year we can win games when we can beat teams that are playoff level teams. I know Joe wasn't playing when we beat the
Sixers twice
in one night. But I mean, this team is proving, hey, next year could be something special. And even if he's a bench guy, could help us.
Here's the thing that I
hate where the Bulls are.
This is my final point.
Want a top 3.
This is my final point with this. With the 2 things. If you look at since 2014, the guys who have been picked from the same team, 2 teammates picked in the top 10. All right, there's no 3 in the top 5. All right, this is
never happened.
Unprecedented. What these guys are doing, and the potential they have. But also it's the weak ass draft class. The 2 guys that have been picked, Justice Winslow after Jahlil Okafor, and then Wendell Carter after Marvin Bagley, and then also Joel Embiid. Behind Andrew Wiggins. But I'm going to write that one off because Embiid was injured, and if he wasn't injured, he'd likely go higher than Wiggins. It was clear that the talent was there for Embiid, but he just wasn't healthy enough. And even then, we see that Embiid didn't have a large enough sample size, is what I'm saying, in college to predict this. But you look at Justice Winslow, 12 points per game, 2.1 assists, 6.5 boards, and he's shooting 48% from the field, 41% from 3, and 64% from the line. And it's taken him a very long time, and he's produced in college, and it's taken him a very long time, and he's a wing, 6'7", and he was all NCAA alternate and all NCAA region. This is a guy that has struggled in the NBA and is finally kind of turning around as point justice. But he's still a guy that has struggled. He was very raw. I see that in Cam Reddish. And Cam Reddish isn't even producing at the level that Justice Winslow is. He's so inefficient, it's not even funny. And Justice was getting less shots than Cam Reddish. Then you look at Wendell Carter, too. Wendell Carter, 13.5 points, 9 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 56% from the field, 41% from 3, 74% from the line. He was producing. These guys who had stars on their team were producing. Top 10 picks were producing. Cam Reddish is the only one that's not. That's a warning sign for me. You have the talent. You're the 3rd best player in high school, and you're not producing. That's a fucking problem in college. That's where I look at it.
Say what you just said again, so I have the parameter set.
It's a fucking problem that he's...
No, the thing about the 2 guys drafted.
Justice Winslow.
Like, what is it? Was it top 10?
Just top 10, yeah.
Yeah, top 10.
Because did you say Karl Anthony Towns and Willie Cauley-Stein, that same draft, were 1 and 6?
2015?
Yeah. 1 and 6. Kentucky. You had Karl Anthony Towns number 1. Willie Cauley-Stein was also number 6.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll overlook that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just throwing it out there
Yeah,
because
my
I
bad.
didn't think you said it.
No, I didn't. I
when you
overlooked
said
it.
that, I was like, oh, I thought Karl Anthony Towns
even then,
did. That
Booker
was the
and
year
Lyles
we
were
had
top
like a
13.
bunch of fucking Kentucky players
Yeah,
drafted.
top
like,
4 in the 13.
Like, and I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not saying Cam is like the perfect prospect, but I mean, I look at it and
Cauley-Stein's different too because he was a 3-year player.
Yeah.
So that's something. But even then, he didn't have the same amount of shots, but he was a 60% shooter in college, averaging 2.2 blocks and a steal a game.
If I'm the Bulls and we're at 4, I don't know. I don't know what our plan would be or who. Like, I don't think there's one guy where it's like, yes, that's our guy at 4, and I would not be closed-minded to say no. We're not gonna trade this pick and kind of do a swap like the Hawks and the Mavs did.
I don't know. I just
My worst nightmare though is that we get bump back and we're like at 7. That's my worst nightmare.
All right. We done on Culver versus Reddish?
I think so.
All right, let's move to the final one for the Hawks. They're taking Jackson Hayes and Dave and I's mock, and then Ricky, you have him going Romeo Langford. We talked about this before on the last mock draft. Jackson Hayes going to the Hawks. It's a good fit with John Collins.
Yeah, pretty much no matter where they go in the top 10 with that pick, unless it's, even higher, which it can't be because guess what? Top 5 protected.
Yeah.
So 6 through 9, give me Jackson Hayes, or 10 even. But give me Jackson Hayes. Like, he is a young center who's absolutely got elite physicals. If you put him anywhere near that rim, he is stuffing people.
Yeah.
Basically you're just hoping that he fills out that frame and he learns a little bit of self-control on the fouling, and you have your lock next to John Collins cementing down that low post.
And that's the thing, too, with this Hawks pick, where they have Reddish going before him and then Hayes. There isn't a shooting guard that I really like there that fits well with Trae Young. So, and Ricky, you'll talk about that. You have a 2-guard going there. I just think that you have Herter, and I think Herter's already a good fit, and Herter just needs to come along and develop. Reddish hopefully will be your starting wing, but if not, you still have Taurean Prince. There's a hole at that 5, and addressing that with Jackson Hayes, it might be an overdraft at 6, but I still think that it's worth that pick because you're getting that from the Mavs. It's just another player, so that's just Jackson Hayes and Trae Young for Luka Doncic. Which, if he pans out and is a starter,
You're a starter and a star for a superstar.
Works out. And Trae Young might even be a superstar. I don't want to limit him. Yeah. So I think Hayes is just a good fit. And if this was their only pick, I don't think they'd be going Jackson Hayes.
I might swing for the fences.
Yeah, if Reddish, Culver, RJ Barrett, Morant, and Williamson were off the board, I don't think they'd be going Jackson Hayes. But they have that other pick, and I think you need to address the need and fill out the lineup. But why do you like Romeo Langford next?
Well, with me, I was kind of for this one with the Hawks. I was kind of looking around like what were some of the other Hawk sites kind of saying, and there was one that I found from Soaring Down South, which is a fan-cited Hawk site, and they kind of talked about how at number 6, Romeo Langford would be kind of a good pick. Like, it kind of might contradict a little bit because he's a guy that is a ball handler, but he's a solid ball handler and solid passer, like they said. But the last part is really what kind of hit it for me is they say beyond that, the Hawks should be in a complete talent acquisition mode, trying to obtain the best player available at each draft stock, no matter the fit. Langford would hit that mold. And I kind of look at mine, and that might go away from me a little bit. I almost, at that point, reading that, was like, fuck it, Rui Hachimura, right there to the Hawks. But I didn't, only because I looked at it and said, well, Jarrett Culver, if he's taller, then he would be more of a 3 in my mind. Why would I go with 2 3s there? Let me go Romeo Langford, playoff ball. And the center thing that both you guys had them go with, I've got picks in the second round. Like, they've got one 35th. If I really wanted to, I could get Bassey, I could get Gafford, I could get a center.
Bassey doesn't have
35.
a motor. You watch that guy, you think he's like an old man. He cannot jump for his life. And Gafford would be interesting. But I just look at Hayes. He's so young and he's so developable. And we've seen what Jared Allen has done so far coming out of Texas.
Centers, baby.
Yeah, Texas has done a great job. I just look at Hayes. He's so young. He's so raw. You could develop him, and I think that'd be a great pick just because it fills out your roster. And if they're going best player available, I'd probably say go Darius Garland. But
I was just thinking that. I was like,
go
bold, man. Yeah. Put Garland at the 2-guard and just roll with it.
I also feel like
the scoring would be insane.
I'll be completely honest. Even putting Ball at 8 to the Wizards was a little like for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to throw this out about the Hawks. Where did their kind of GM and stuff come from? Golden State. What's the one position Golden State has not had a solid player in since like DeMarcus Cousins?
Center.
The center. Yeah. Like, Bogut was good, but Bogut wasn't like
it was the best.
But Jackson Hayes is better than Bobo.
No, and what I'm saying, well, even Jackson Hayes, but what I'm saying is I'd rather go with them Wangs, give me 2s and 3s, stock that up rather than go with a big in the top 5 because I think that the other translates better.
The Warriors never had a pick high enough to get an elite big man.
Before Bogut. That?
Bogut wasn't a pick. Bogut was a free agent. Bogut was a number 1 pick for the Bucks.
True. Okay, I was just thinking he was number 1 pick. Yeah, you're right. He was Buck first.
So he was a draft pick.
No, but
they were taking like Kevon Looney in the 27th.
No, I'm saying, but
Jordan Bell.
The drafts where they took like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson.
But you're not gonna pass pass on those guys. They had
Whoa.
talent.
Unless they're
You
Timberwolves.
And you already got those guys. You already have Trae Young, who's supposed to be your Steph. You already have the Herter, who's supposed to be your Klay Thompson. You already filled up the positions. So why would you go away from that? Go and get a big man.
More is never bad, and they're losing. Like,
Okay, but then you just got Cam Reddish.
but
He's supposed to
also
be that guy.
you got to look
He's
at it
supposed to
this
fill
way.
out that roster.
Kent Bazemore, like, is he
Ugh.
going to keep that option? Is he going to not take the option and move
19
on?
million's option.
You've also
he's going to keep the option.
You've also got Vince. Like, they've got two guards moving on. They have, like, is Torian Prince and Bembry. After this year, their RFAs, what's going to happen? It just adds more stability at that 2 and 3 spot. That's why I went with Culver and Langford there rather than going with a big.
I would rather go with a two guard later and get a guy who's a little bit older in the second round. And also, you're probably not going to be great again next year, so you're probably going to get a near top 10 pick. You can always just address the two guard position. I think.
But let's be honest. With how the Mavs are going, this might be the Mavs pick next time we draft.
I think that you go Hayes here. But let's talk about the Mavs just in case they do get this top 5 pick. What position do they need to fill out? Are they like a team like the Cavs, where it's really just pick any position that's going to fit?
Is this what this feels like? Like when I sit over there and throw curveballs at you guys? Is that what this feels like? Did you?
Yeah, I said, I don't want to go too far in the second pick because I want to talk about the Mavs and what if they get this pick.
So Mavs at 5?
Yeah, Mavs at 5 or even higher. Let's say, I mean, obviously if they get number 1, they'll get Zion. But let's say 2 through 5. Like, what ideal prospect is there outside of Zion for the Mavs? Do you see on this team?
It's weird. It's weird because like logic would say go with like RJ Barrett, but they've already. Like, I don't want to have overlap between he and Luka. So it's just like, I don't know. That's a weird spot. Like, it's, I guess, you take the best player available and you just hope that it's going to work out. I think would be the strategy for them because I don't think I take Ja if I get the number 2 overall pick. If I'm them, I take RJ Barrett probably.
This is one where it's not, this isn't a best pick for the Mavs. This is a best landing spot for a player. Cam Reddish. The reason why I say that is he's a guy right now that we're kind of volatile towards him. Of you're the third. Why are you doing? Like you were just basically like screaming and getting pretty heated about Cam Reddish.
I'm
not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying like the thing is people are volatile against Cam Reddish because he's the third one.
Well, I think we're just giving him credit because he was ranked 3 as a high school prospect.
But if you've just watched his performance at Duke, there are a lot of questions on why he is so highly rated.
I want to stop giving him credit for being on a Duke team.
Yeah,
he chose to go to college. Good for him.
What wouldn't be better for him than hey, let's go to a situation where it's kind of like I watch the Mavericks and it's like loosey goosey out there where like Luka has kind of like infected this team in a good way.
Yeah.
Where it's like his goofy personality has just got these guys. I know they're losing. Like they lost a lot this week.
They're advanced tanking.
But it's like they look loose and they look like, I mean, losing's not fun, but like Luka this season has looked like he's having fun out there.
Absolutely.
And this is a team where maybe with Luka being on there, maybe with Kristaps going to be coming back next year, that this could be a just positive environment for a Cam Reddish who his college career might be, I'm not going to say toxic, but like, oh man, there's a lot of negative right now just because of everything that's going on with his play. He's probably not happy that his play is like this. He probably wants to be playing better.
I would hope so.
And could be kind 100%. Of a good change of pace for Cam Reddish.
I'm not trying to bash the kid. I don't think he's a bad kid or anything like that. So if it's coming off too harsh, like okay, but I'm more yelling at like people who
want to elevate him above his performance.
What has he done? Like I think that I'm not wishing the worst on any of these prospects. I just don't know what Cam Reddish has done. That's all. Let's move now to the Grizzlies at 7. This is a team that I think is extremely fun. I have them going Sekou Doumbouya. Dave, you have them going Rui Hachimura.
Nope.
Sorry, you have them going Darius Garland. Ricky, you have them going Rui Hachimura. I think it would be extremely fun. Here's my thing with the Grizzlies. I think they should take Darius Garland. That was my thing.
Yeah.
But I want to see him on the Pelicans, so I put him there.
So
I'm going to be clear and transparent.
Pick.
Yeah, I had the selfish pick.
Kind of like
you guys
Dave
last year had last mock you had Ja Morant to the Bulls.
Yeah,
I had him going to Darius Garland.
I did it because he was really going to fall.
Yeah,
there.
okay. I'll talk about Darius Garland to the Pelicans and why I like it later, but I just love that fit. So looking at this, I was like, all right, what other best player would be here? And I do really like Sekou Doumbouya. And also, he's so young. He's so raw. And this team is expecting to be bad. Why not be bad? So I
lean
really,
into it, baby.
Yeah, lean into it. Be bad. I think that Memphis can be a team of the future, especially with how young your two stars are going to be.
Yeah, who wants to compete now against the West? Like when you can go as young as Sekou Doumbouya, or when you can go
and Jaren Jackson.
And Jaren Jackson, that combo of like super young talent. I think that's super attractive for me.
And if you're looking at that length and that defense, holy shit.
Yeah, that's a good core to start with.
That seems like Memphis. Gritty defense. Let's go.
It's the old Memphis, man, not the new Memphis. But for me, that Darius Garland was like the absolute like, oh yeah, he could play as a 2-guard next to Mike Conley day one, and then when Conley's contract is wrapped or you feel like moving on from him, he moves over to 1. Not a problem. He's already giving them exactly what they need. They need a score on this team to step up, and he can absolutely do that day one.
Can you imagine a pick and roll with him and Jaren Jackson? Holy shit.
It's dirty.
When Jaren Jackson fills out a little bit more, holy
pick and pop.
Fuck.
Dirty.
That's going to be nasty. Or even Jaren Jackson running through the lane. Like, that's going to be insane.
So, I love it.
I love both players. I don't really think the Grizzlies can go wrong with any pick.
I think you're a little high on Sekou, but like you're entitled to have your own opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm high. I mean, you guys have him going 15, so like I'm pretty high on him. But I also think that he is so raw.
I've had him pretty high in the past.
Young.
It's just,
he's raw.
I
he's
kind of fall in and out of love with Euro players. So
he's raw. He's young.
Except
he's
for
shown
Luka.
the ability to run in
not to
transition. He's shown the ability to play defense.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be a guy that rises rather than falls. Maybe it's too high of a rise, but I like Sekou, and I want to put him on people's radar. So Sekou going 7 to the Grizzlies.
No, I mean, for me, it was like the Grizzly pick to me is kind of too easy here because it's BPA or Darius Garland. And for me, I might be rolling the dice, and I even tried to look up for if there's way too earlys for next year's draft to see what our point guard class might look like. But that is the dice that I am willing to roll if I'm Memphis of like, yeah, we can take Darius Garland, like Dave said, and like have him be here. Then once Conley's either traded or, well, let's be honest, traded. I don't think he sees the end of that contract in Memphis. Then we move Garland over, or let's just take the BPA player here, and next we'll kick that point guard can down the road, kind of like what we did with Marc Gasol.
To keep their pick.
Exactly. Which they should be, because I don't think they're like, and this is a shot at Memphis fans. I know Dave takes numerous shots at you guys. But I mean,
not that bad about it.
It's just, I look at it and I go, could have went Darius Garland here, but I'm going to go my BPA, which was Rui, and then just kick that point guard can down the road until after they trade Mike Conley eventually.
Yeah, I think Garland or Doumbouya is a pick. But again, I picked selfishly and went with Garland. Hachimura would be interesting too, just because a slasher would be a fun player with Conley.
And you've got Rui as your BPA. I know from your big board standpoint, right?
Yeah, I was looking like the only one that kind of fit out of this was Romeo. Like Romeo and Rui were flipped on my big board, but this was one where really the Hawks, the talent acquisition thing I said, probably should have went Rui, but I decided to switch it up and put Langford there and Rui here.
Dave, if they don't go Garland, who do you think they go for? Who's available on your board?
I might go safe and go DeAndre Hunter and just drop it down one. Part of me wants to believe in Kevin Porter Jr. more than I've like. Nothing about anything I've seen makes me want to say Kevin Porter Jr. deserves to be this high of a pick, but his game has that potential to be special, and I think that's why he's been rising back up boards right away.
He's got an ugly free throw.
Yeah, he does.
And he's got an ugly shot. He's got like this weird, like, he's got it like tucked in like this. It's a very weird shot if you get a close-up of Kevin Porter's just jump shot or free throw.
Yeah.
I was watching that and I was like, he's fun, he's exciting, but I was just watching that and I was like, that's ugly.
Yeah. But it'd be super exciting to have him on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, if he pans out, I mean, he's a very highlight reel player. He's very exciting. Let's move now to the Wizards. I have DeAndre Hunter, Ricky Bobo, and Dave. We have DeAndre Hunter as well. Just
self-harm.
Beal. Jesus.
Wow.
Do not self-harm yourself.
No, I'm not saying to. I'm saying that was the comment. Correct?
I know. It was. Wall, Beal,
taken out of context, that would be really bad.
Yeah, it is.
So, Dave, what do you like the most? Self-harm.
Wall, Beal, Hunter. I think that's a good 1, 2, 3. The 4 and 5s are a little iffy there because are they going to reset Ariza? Thomas Bryant's been decent for them.
Weird, yeah.
So that's a little iffy, but I think you got to go with a player who's going to be able to play along veterans, and that's DeAndre Hunter. And I know people, some Wizards fans aren't a huge fan of it, but he's going to be a guy that's a complimentary piece. He's the guy that you want an Otto Porter to be.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I picked him.
And you're not paying him 40 something.
Yeah, you're paying him 27
a year. $27 million a year. Yeah.
So I really like they're paying John Wall 40 a year. I really like the DeAndre Hunter fit for them. Ricky, though, you had Ball going over Hunter.
I almost put Hunter here also.
It's exciting though.
But here's the reason why, and I want to ask this question. Eventually, they're going to realize they drafted Troy Brown Jr., right? Like, eventually...
He's got minutes lately.
Eventually, they're going to be like, you know what, I know we're losing because they could re-sign players. But like, Ariza, Wesley Johnson, Sam Decker, Jeff Green, all free agents at the end. Decker's the only one that has the RFA. So eventually, it's like, well, you drafted Troy Brown. He should get more minutes next year, right? Is he going to grow into that small forward spot that you were hoping for? And then I looked over at power forwards. I'm like, yeah, Jabari's probably gone at the end of the year, but Bobby Portis, they could pay up to get Bobby Portis to keep him here. And I just looked at centers. I was like, what, Dwight and Jan Mahimi? No, thank you. I'll take Ball. I'll let him. Like, of course, the combine is going to be the big decider with him. Yes. Is he going to fall or rise? But at this point, I'm not a future teller, and I'll take that dice right now without knowing that, and then get a high pick next year because I don't think John Wall and Bradley Beal are going to make this team a finals contender, playoff team, playoff contender, all the above.
Yeah, no, I think it's all the reasons. If you want to hear my opinion on Bull, check out our last mailbag.
Yeah.
In which case I blew Sean out of the water.
Oh, shut up.
And I mean, look, it's an exciting
Dwight
pick.
Howard.
His upside is insane. Even if he's a limited minutes player,
even if he's made out of glass,
he still has one of the best shooting strokes for a big man that we've ever seen.
And he can shoot from distance as well.
Yeah.
When he's out on the floor, but he's going to break down.
If he breaks
He also
down.
can't play defense against a grown man.
No, he can't.
So.
But if he plays 20 minutes, he can score 20 points. Kind of a guy. Like that's what you're getting. Remember, what percentage is he shooting from three? Was because he's not actually playing in the game.
I think 41%.
More.
Was it?
Dave Moore.
It was not more. He was not shooting more than 41% from three.
He was shooting 52. But he's taking like 3 a game.
Yeah, he's taking 3 a game.
That's a not terrible amount
That's
for a
still
7'3" kid.
That's good.
Yeah. Bag o' dicks. That's what you're eating over there.
I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. He's not worth it.
Do you think,
in my opinion.
mean, his shooting percentage could drop off 11 points. He'd still be shooting 40% from 3. As a
Sick,
7'3",
dude. He's playing 5 minutes a game.
No,
bruh.
he'd be playing 15. If Bobby can get in games for 15 minutes, you tell me he can't. He spaces the floor.
Okay, but then what if he's not going to... Whatever. If he's going up against Joel Embiid, if you're playing the Wizards and Joel Embiid, you're putting ball against Joel Embiid, he's going to break.
He's playing the 4 against Joel Embiid. So he doesn't have to play him.
Tobias Harris might break him too.
No, I'd take that matchup all day.
What if you put Bobby on Bobo? Who's going to win?
Oh my God.
Bobby on Bowley.
He'll actually die then.
He will break him in half.
All right, let's move on.
Bobby and Bowley?
No.
No,
No,
I
that's
tried to get him to
Bully.
rhyme.
You don't bully.
Let's move on. This is
DBZ.
this segment's losing steam. I just think Bobo's a huge reach there.
It's high upside for a lot of potential loss, though.
It's a swing.
It
could be a big miss.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're looking at a guy who could never play in the NBA consistently.
Yeah. Let's move now to the Pelicans. This is what I want to talk about. My boy Darius Garland. Darius Garland for me, DeAndre Hunter for Ricky, and then Kevin Porter for Dave.
Talk about swings.
I just look at the ability now, because you were talking about moving Darius Garland to 2 with Mike Conley.
Yeah.
Now you
not
can
a problem.
Now you can move Drew to the 2 where he's more comfortable.
I'm telling you,
And
Alfred
then-
Payton playing the 1.
And then
Triple-double machine out there.
You could have Alfred Payton coming off the bench. And then you have Darius Garland playing the 1. You give all the money in the world to Julius Randle. If you have Darius Garland, Drew Holiday, and Julius Randle, that might become my favorite team.
And Jaleel Okafor at the 5.
Yes, a bench 5, a bench depth of Julius Randle, or
more
your
so
center
than
depth
the
of Julius
Nuggets?
Randle, Ja Okafor, and Chuck Diallo.
Oh my
yes,
God.
please. But no, Darius Garland, lightning quick reflexes. Guy can shoot. Guy can put up stats like nothing. I think if you give him a 26% usage in the NBA, he might put up 26 a night.
He's got a Kyrie Irving-esque start to his career, wouldn't you say? I mean, they both were incredible high school prospects. Obviously, Kyrie was a little bit higher, but they hit that college level, and you saw instantly what made them special. The scoring rate is incredible from both of them. I think Kyrie's a better passer and has better handles.
Yeah.
Notably, some of the best handles in the NBA. But Darius Garland has that scoring potential right alongside him. Yeah. So I think that you absolutely want to take a shot at him because the upside's incredible.
And again, just thinking about that, him and Drew Holiday, like that's a perfect backcourt. Like I love that.
It's pretty good.
You know, you look at Drew Holiday offensively can pass the ball around.
You think Drew Holiday stays on the team?
He can. I mean, he's signed.
That doesn't mean much.
But right now, they haven't been like I know they've been bad recently, but even when AD was out, like they were playing well to start. So I don't think this team's totally screwed if they want to try to make a playoff run, re-sign Julius Randle, and try to fill out that roster around them because they're not really in cap hell anymore. They got rid of Ashik's contract. They got rid of Agencia's contract. Solomon Hill's a bad contract. But overall, I think they're going to have some money. Drew Holiday's going to be making the most if they trade AD at like $24 million. So I really like what this team could do. And you had a guard who could score. That's going to be interesting because if Randle could put up 20, Garland could put up 20, and Drew could put up 15, 7, and then 2 steals. This could be a very, very interesting team. And you get a 3-and-D wing. I think the Pelicans could be something that maybe not a force to be reckoning with at all, but a team that could possibly make the playoffs. And if San Antonio gets way too old, and they're not able to do what they're doing right now, I think this could be a team that make the playoffs if they get Darius Garland and he's healthy and is able to score at the rate I think he is able to. But Ricky, you end up going DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, and the reason why I almost had them go Darius Garland.
But I just think it's such a good fit.
The thing I thought about, I was looking on Spot Rack, and I'm like, you know what? I know that you can have your opinion. I know that UFA at the end of the year, anything can happen. But Alfred Payton, you could bring him back. He'd be a cheaper player. If you wanted to, you could do then separate options. This is with me taking DeAndre Hunter. You could throw it out there and have either Drew at the 1, Etuan Moore at the 2, and then Hunter at the 3. Or we're going to have Peyton play the 1. Drew's going to move over to the 2, which we've talked about before. Might have been a little bit more comfortable there, especially when he was with Rondo. And then have Hunter at the 3, because they could even throw, if they wanted to, in free agency. Like, if they were wanting to get a 2, if they want to keep Drew at the 1, J.J. Redick, Danny Green, Terrence Ross, all these ones outside of the Jimmy Butler and Klay Thompson. And if you're looking hey, let's have a better point guard, same ones that you threw out earlier. Hey, you can bring in Derrick Rose for a manageable contract. You can bring in Ricky Rubio, Rajon Rondo again. What can we do here? And I look at DeAndre Hunter. And the best thing I like about him is 2 things. 1, he's going to know his role because he's an older player and he's kind of I know what I do well. And 2, what he does well is, although it's not of great volume, it's that 2.5 we saw from the ball, but he makes his 3-pointers and he plays defense. And some of the best Pelican playoff series I saw was when they had guys on the outside that could lock down elite defenders. And that's for the Pelicans. I would say, hey, Drew's gonna be our guy. We can get either a 2 or a point guard to kind of play next to him in free agency, and then this could be our defensive guy at the 3.
I know the Pelicans don't go to the playoffs often. That was just a perfect matchup for them.
Maybe.
Just a defensive matchup with CJ and Dame. I think that also you had Anthony Davis on the team, which is going to help your defense.
Well,
I
technically
think that
you still have him on the team right now.
Yeah, they're going to need to find the identity once they trade him, and I think that Hunter's definitely an interesting pick.
Do you think that his defense
I think you need to go for a superstar.
Overrated at this point because of the team he plays on? I know a lot of people have him mocked as one of the best defenders in the league, especially on the wing, saying he can go 1 through 4 and shit like that.
Yes and no, because he's not the best defender in the class. I still think it's Zion.
Zion or Matthias.
Oh yeah, fuck, Matthias.
The guy averaging
we'll take
3.5 steals and 2 blocks.
We'll talk about lottery guys because Matthias Thybulle's a fucking monster. But I think Zion's the best defender in this draft. or at least potential to become a defender.
Yeah.
But also, you look at Hunter, like, yes, it's overrated because Virginia's so good, but then you also saw what happened when Virginia wasn't having DeAndre Hunter on the field and on the floor, and they lost to a 16 seed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that was clear cause and effect. He goes out, they were great, and they lose to a 16 seed. He was such a huge part
system,
to this team.
but he's also warranted in his ranking.
I don't think he's a system defender. I think the system helps him.
Okay.
But I think he's still going to be a good defender in the NBA.
Cool.
So I think it's a good question. Definitely, I think that he's overrated and yet underrated. Because like he's not a flashy special player like a Zion Williamson, but he is a very good. He's a glue guy.
He's a glue guy.
He's one of those glue guys.
You take a glue guy with a top 10 pick?
Yeah,
We all have done
in
the top 10.
We don't. But that's the thing is like.
This draft class is so weak that we do.
There was.
I'll say it.
Brett Coleman did
On paper,
an NFL draft breakdown of Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa. And they were like, their top ends aren't like Khalil Mack's, but also their floor is so higher than what Khalil Mack coming out of college. So, like, yes, their ceiling isn't a number 1 overall pick, best defensive end in the league, but their floor is a top 10 defensive end. And I think Hunter's potential is he's not going to be a all-star, but he's not going to be a bad starter.
Right.
Like, he's going to be, when we do our positional rankings, he's going to probably be around 13 or even 10 at some point. But he's never going to be like 5. Like, he's going to be a good forward. And if
that
you're
Joe Ingles level starter.
Yeah. But, yeah. Kind of. Maybe a little bit better than Ingles.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves now.
Jingles is 31. Imagine what DeAndre Hunter's going to be at 31.
That's true. Got a long time to go.
I just think that...
Actually, not as long as we'd hope, because he's already 20... Is he 21?
Yeah, I think he's 21. I'll check. Yeah, he's 21. He'll be 22 December 2nd.
Okay.
So I just think that he's an interesting player that I think people are overlooking just because he's not flashy.
Yeah. That's fair.
Let's move to Kevin Porter, and then we'll end it up with the Lakers. What do you like about Kevin Porter and the Pelicans?
He's dope. He's a shot creator. He's exciting as hell to watch. He's kind of got that. I've got the feeling of watching him at USC that there is something they're doing wrong. Like, because they're not making him the focal point of their team, because they like using Boatwright as the 3-point fucking gunner on the outside, they're wasting the talent in him. And I think that part of this is probably because he's definitely disengaged himself from the team. Like, there was some locker room conversations.
Is it because of what happened like earlier in the year that we talked about? What warranted warranted, but what caused the suspension? Maybe?
Correct. I think there's some extracurriculars that built into this situation becoming
too much Fortnite.
I mean, it might
too much Fortnite.
It might be, but I think there's something that went terribly wrong at his time to the point where the coach doesn't trust him and his teammates maybe don't trust him. And this is me maybe reading too much into it, so don't take it for word, but. What I see out there is a guy who, when he gets the ball in his hands, he can be special, and they have not given him that opportunity often. In the last loss against Washington, this past, literally yesterday, 17 points, efficient, got a couple boards, got a steal off a loose ball. Like, he just looks good, and he can create his own shot off of mistakes from teammates. Basically, just put the ball in his hands and let him go to work, and I absolutely love that. Can he be a better passer? Absolutely. But right now, I think he's just a selfish kid, and maybe there's a lot of mental that needs to be built up. And putting him on a team with a Drew Holiday, I think, could really help his game go a long way.
And the thing, too, with Porter, some people are going to knock his production. I just knocked Cam Reddish. He's putting up 9 points a game. But also, you got to take in that suspension into action. He's also shooting well from the outside. He's shooting 41% on 68 attempts and 47% from the field. He's not going to be that good of a three-point shooter in the NBA. Right. You could look at the free throw percentage of 52%. That's bad.
His free throws got a weird... Like he said earlier,
he's got a weird.
It's like a weird roll of the wrist in the middle.
Yeah, he's got a very bad form. He needs to work with Drew handling.
Yes,
but that's something that is definitely worrisome. But you look at when he has the opportunity and the ball in his hands. When he gets 8 or more shots a game, and he's gotten that 9 of the 21 games he's played. There's only one time where he's been under 10 points, and he had 7. He was 3 of 8 from the field. But outside that, 6 of 8, 5 of 9, 4 of 10, 6 of 10, 5 of 10, 5 of 11, 4 of 12. 6 of 16. He's always been above. He's always been a double-digit scorer when he gets those opportunities. So I think he's going to be that at an NBA level. He might need to rework his game a little, but he's still very young. He's got good handles. He's got good athleticism. And if the thing that he got suspended for wasn't too serious, I think he's going to rise on draft boards just because he does have that potential. That is very intriguing. But let's move to the final pick. It's the Lakers. I have Kobe White going to the Lakers. Ricky, you have Jackson Hayes. And Dave, you have Keldon Johnson going there. So we'll get the guy that we already talked about off the board. Ricky, why do you like Jackson Hayes to the Lakers?
You know, the Lakers are a team where I feel like the big question here, obviously, is how much are you going to, pursue Anthony Davis? Are you even going to get Anthony Davis? Because I continue to see things like, the Pelicans, rumors are they have no, intent to trade him to the Lakers whatsoever. So because of that, you got to go a different way. That's why you go Jackson Hayes. I don't think AD is going to be a Laker. I think the Lakers are going to have to plant that pivot foot and go with plan B if Anthony Davis was plan A. And to me, it's like, well, I'm not going to load up on more guys at different positions. The reason why I didn't have him go a point guard is they have Lonzo Ball. The reason why I didn't have him go this is they have Kyle Kuzma, they have Brandon Ingram. The one position that they will need desperately in free agency and the draft is the center. Take Jackson Hayes, close out the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Dave, talk about your pick for the Lakers and Keldon Johnson.
Didn't have Jackson Hayes on the board, so it makes it a little easier from the Lakers standpoint. I don't think they reach on any of the centers further down in this draft.
Not going to go ball at 10?
No, geez, that would be awful. I mean, actually,
it'd be awful.
It would be awful, but also super fun.
A fun awful.
Super fun awful.
It'd be awful.
Running the break in the Luke Walton offense.
He'd break his leg.
Trailing threes, baby. Trailing threes on the fast break all day. But no, Keldon Johnson, I mean, the kid's a two-way monster. Absolutely high-energy player, always locked in. Inconsistent with his scoring.
Yeah.
Which can be a problem at times, you know? Mm-hmm. But on the upside, when he gets hot, he's a really good player. But I like the fact that you get a two-way player who can score double digits most nights, and when he scores double, he is money efficiency-wise. So
yeah, he's very inconsistent. That's the thing I want to bring up because I don't have him that high. I mean, I this draft's bad, so I have him going 11. But
it's his versatility that's attractive though, because of his size, he can guard 1 through 3 pretty well.
My thing is I know I'm saying I'm not high on him. He's going on the next pick, but it's just I felt bad putting him where I put him. I was just I don't have that feeling behind him, and I think it's just because you're talking about that inconsistency.
Yeah.
And to bring that up, his last 7 games, and this is not including the game Kentucky's currently playing against Tennessee, because I don't know those numbers. But he is I don't have the totals on here, which is annoying.
Kentucky versus Tennessee, he put up 15 points.
What is he shooting from 3? Because that's an important thing.
1 of 2.
Okay.
That's over now.
Yeah, he has. Who won? Kentucky.
Tennessee.
Okay.
82-78.
So the Keldon Johnson in the past 7 games, we could just make it 8 now. 21% from the line and 60% from the 21% from 3, 60% from the line. And you have games of 1-2, 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 1-5, 0-1, 0-2, 0-2. He's scoring 10 points per game in those. And I just feel I'm worried about how consistent can he be, because he even has games where he's grabbing 11 boards, 17 boards, 10 boards. I have a worry about what he's going to be in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you put him on the Lakers, a team that has so many problems of who's going to be on this team.
True.
Is he going to be playing next to Lonzo Ball? Is he going to be playing next to Ingram and Kuzma? Or is it going to be AD and Kawhi or AD and Klay Thompson and LeBron James? What is this team going to look like? And is Keldon Johnson, while he is versatile, will he be able to get the touches that he needs to be effective on the offensive end? Because I don't see him outside of anything that is really a 3-and-D shooter, and then also a scorer. I see him as a scorer, but that's about it.
I think,
and I don't think he's a dead-eye 3. That's the thing that I think.
Now.
I think you need a shooter the most out of him, and that's why I was worried about putting Keldon Johnson in the Lakers.
But he is a high-energy guy who absolutely plays up to the occasion and tries to, like you said, he had games with double-digit rebounds, and that's a thing you don't see out of most normal guards. It's one of those things where he's going after it. He's aggressive about it, and to have someone who you don't have to motivate to play engaged, I think that's something that the Lakers do need. They need somebody when Josh Hart wasn't hurt, he was able to do that. Mm-hmm. And Josh Hart, has been basically a shell of himself since that second month of the year, since he's been struggling with nagging injuries. And hopefully, he's healthy and everything gets fixed. But this is a guy who's locked in, always energy, and even if his offensive game's not hitting, you don't have to devote a ton of shots to him. He can be an off-ball option, and he can be giving you, 90% of his energy on the defensive end.
Yeah, the thing, though, is, when he's not working through the offense, you only saw 10 points a game from him in that stretch that I was talking about, and he wasn't efficient. So that's the thing that I worry about is, he's not efficient in an off-ball. He hasn't been super efficient in an off-ball role, and that's what he's going to be playing if he goes to the Lakers with a Lonzo Ball, an Ingram, and a LeBron James, clearly. So that's the thing that I worry about is, like, will he get lost offensively? And yes, he can bring great defense, but you have that in Lonzo Ball. And, like, is he going to be Lonzo level? Not shot-wise, because he's going to come in with a better shot at Lonzo.
He's been playing off ball because Tyler Hero's exploded.
Mm-hmm. But he hasn't been playing well off ball, so that's the thing.
I mean, you say not playing well. I say they won, like 6 of their last 7.
Lost today.
I'm saying him personally. Yeah. So that's the thing that worries me. We're not drafting the Kentucky team to play for the Lakers. We're drafting Keldon Johnson.
Right.
So I just worry about that. Maybe I'm just overanalyzing a 7-game stretch, which could be totally true. But I just look at it, I'm worried a little bit. I have him going Kobe White because I know obviously Lonzo is on the team right now and he's going to be their point guard if they play. But if they do move AD, they're going to need a point guard. And even if they don't, I think they can experiment a lot with lineups. Lonzo's a great defender, and he's a great passer. But I think he has the size to play a 2-guard. He doesn't have the ability to play off ball like you want in a 2-guard. But I think Kobe White does, and Kobe White's shooting 81% from the line. He's got a nice shot from the outside, shooting 36% from 3, and he could put up points. And he's a guy that can get hot. And if he's getting hot from the outside, shooting 6 of 11 like he did in the Clemson game, or 4 of 10 like he was in the Duke game, that's a guy that I think could be absolutely dangerous and filthy on this team because he's going to give you scoring from a guard position that a guy like Rajon Rondo wasn't, or Lance Stevenson, or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope wasn't. Obviously, you have this lineup, if you don't get AD and you don't move him away, of Lonzo, Ingram, James, Kuzma, and X center. But Kobe White coming in and providing that scoring from that guard position, I think, would be huge because Ingram has been playing in 2-guard when they were winning games. But he wasn't putting up those points that we saw later in the season. Lonzo was out, and we saw him obviously have a different role, and Ingram was putting up like 27. But when Lonzo was in there, he wasn't having those games. I think Kobe White at least can come in and provide that guard scoring that might not be there if Lonzo and Ingram are on their game. So I think that would be a guy who especially can shoot from the outside. And he's right now playing on a very veteran-heavy team, and he's playing extremely well. I think Kobe White is a guy that, we've seen him play, and there's sometimes people have compared him. I know Jake's one of them. Compared him to a light Kyrie, and I know that was Darius Garland's thing. But the way he can score, the way he can move, the way he can pass. There was a pass in that Duke game where Cam Johnson's on his right. There's 2 Duke guys closing in, and he's looking at Cam, no look pass to Nassir Little cutting baseline, fits it beautifully through the hole, and it was just a perfect way to run a 4-on-3 fast break. So I just like his ability to move. I think he's going to work well in the transition game that LA really thrives in. And he could shoot the ball and he could score. So I think he's a guy that would be really interesting on that Laker team.
I like him a lot, and he's risen up my board. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's a 10 pick yet. Like that's the thing. It's like I think he's close. I do have them as a toss up between the 2 guys, but it just the ability to guard wings for me from Keldon Johnson is the intriguing. Right now, that's giving me the benefit for Keldon. Mm-hmm. I think everything you said about Kobe White is correct, though. Yeah. Like, he's got that potential. I don't like the Kyrie thing, but that's...
I think it was just because he put up 34 and he was just scoring like crazy.
But, I mean, the volume shooting from 3 is already enticing. The fact that he's hitting it at a decent clip right now, everything about that veteran-heavy team with Roy Williams as a coach, like, he's heavily coachable. Mm-hmm. He plays in a great system, and the fact that he's willing to take on whatever role is necessary. Because we watched this year as he transitioned from young rookie with a role to becoming a leader on the team as a rookie.
He'll do whatever LeBron wants him to. He'll do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think him and Josh Hart would be an interesting pair coming off the bench too at that 1 and 2. That's it, right? For the 1 2.
We got every team.
Longest.
Sorry.
Yeah, every team, and they got some good minutes.
And they got a bonus one on the Mavs.
They got some good minutes.
A hypothetical Mavs.
All right, so
even the Knicks and Zion, who Sean was like, do we really need to talk about
20 minutes.
Zion to the Knicks?
Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, 1 through 10. We'd love to hear what you think, and also don't forget we still have the mailbag. It feels like a different day.
It's just a snappy, hour 30.
Hour 41
hour
right
41.
Now. But let's move in 11 through 20. Again, don't forget to let us know your thoughts for the mailbag coming up. And also, if you're here, check out twitter.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We have a Spurs fan that's been talking to me on Twitter. So if you want to talk to me on Twitter about any of the NBA draft stuff, definitely check that out. We'll talk a little bit about the Spurs pick when Ricky gives us his 11 through 20.
Yep, and my 11 through 20. I keep forgetting that we did. We just were like, hey, what are we going to talk about this segment? I'm geared to go, and I was like, oh, wait, I got to tell you, who I picked. But the Hornets at 11, they're going to go Darius Garland, the guard from Vanderbilt. Then at number 12, the Orlando Magic go Keldon Johnson, the guard from Kentucky. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves go Brandon Clark, the forward from Gonzaga. Then the Celtics, via the Kings at 14, go Kobe White, the guard from UNC. Then the Heat at 15 go Sekou Demboya, the forward from overseas. Then at 16, the Nets go P.J. Washington, the forward from the Kentucky Wildcats. 17, the Pistons take Kevin Porter Jr., the guard from USC. Then the Celtics, again, this time via the Clippers, at 18 going Jonte Porter, the center. I guess I missed that classification. Last year was a forward. Now everyone's listing him as a center from Missouri. Then the Jazz at 19 go Grant Williams, the forward from Tennessee. And then last but not least, number 20, the Spurs go Lewis King, the forward from Oregon. Quack, quack.
All right, Dave, give us your 11 through 20.
For number 11, Ricky, can you help me out with this name? I just love the way you say his name so much. I've got the Hornets taking
Rui Hachimura.
I love the way he just says it, so I'm just going to reference him every single time.
The ha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
God. At number 12, I've got the Magic going Kobe White. At 13, I've got the Timberwolves going with Romeo Langford. At 14, the Celtics taking Bull. At 15, because that's the number after 14, I've got the Heat going Sekou Demboya. At 16, I've got the Nets going Brandon Clark. At 17, the Pistons taking Nassir Little. 18, the Celtics taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 19, I've got the Jazz going P.J. Washington. And 20, I've got the Spurs taking KZ Okpala.
And my 11 through 20... Did I delete that? No, I didn't delete it. All right, sorry. I have a lot of tabs open. 11 through 20, we have Hornets taking Keldon Johnson. 12, the Magic taking Romeo Langford. 13, the T-Wolves taking Brandon Clark. 14, the Celtics via the Kings taking P.J. Washington. 15, the Heat taking Bull. 16, the Nets taking Rui Hachimura. 7, the Pistons taking Kevin Porter Jr. 18, the Celtics taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 19, the Jazz taking Cam Johnson. Dave's saying he's overrated, or at least, what's it called, an overdraft?
Yeah.
Too high. And then finally, 20, the Spurs taking KZ Okpala from Stanford. So in this segment, we're talking P.J. Washington, Cam Johnson, the Jazz, the Celtics 2 picks, and the Nets. Let us know if you want to talk about any other prospect. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below if we don't touch upon them. But let's start out with P.J. Washington. I have him going 14 to the Celtics. Ricky, you have him going 16 to the Nets. And Dave, you have him going the lowest at 19 to the Jazz. I just look at him, and I understand that these older guys, there's not that potential.
Yeah.
I have Kevin Porter going behind P.J. Washington, and Kevin Porter's obviously a freshman with a ton of potential. But something that P.J. Washington has done is that he has been able to grow as a player, and you've really seen this next level to him in his second year at Kentucky, and it's been truly fun to watch. And this is a guy that was talented. I mean, he was a 14th recruit in the 2017 high school rank, and that's something that is, he was above guys like Lonnie Walker. He was a guy above like Trey Young. Shea Gilgeous, he was above. Gafford, he was above. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He was a guy that came out and he was really performing at a well level. He's up there with a lot of great names that are producing. So
in high school,
but I mean but still
that first year of college.
He didn't play well. But he's now getting the opportunity to, and you're seeing what he's been doing really since the turn of the calendar, about Martin Luther King Day, I think it was, since January 15th in the past 17 games, 52% from the field. He's shooting 45% from three, 64% from the line, 7 boards, 1.3 blocks, 17 points. He just looks like a modern day 4. He looks like he's not afraid to score. He looks like he's not afraid to be versatile on the floor. He just looks like an all-around good basketball player, and I understand that he's not a freshman, but he still has a ton of potential, and he just finally is getting that tapped into by Calipari this year, and I really love what he's been able to do since January. I think this is going to be something that if you put him on the Celtics, a team that's going to be losing Marcus Morris, this might be a very good fit, a natural fit to kind of plug him in once he's ready.
He's a pretty good rebounder, too.
He might not be ready right away, but he's grabbing 7 boards in that stretch since January 15th. I think it's a really good fit. I think he's a guy that's mature as well, and I think he's going to be a guy that can still grow once he's selected and in the NBA, especially if he's playing alongside the talent in Boston. I think that he might take a little while to grow like he did in college, but I think if he's playing up against veterans and he needs to rise to the occasion, I think he is a guy that can do that. I really like him for the Celtics, especially at that stretch 4 spot.
But the interesting thing is at the stretch four, would you prefer him over Bol?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. How many times do I have to say that I do not like Bol? He's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. I do not think the talent is there for the risk. The risk is higher than the reward.
Really?
I think. Yes, the risk is
Even
massive.
in a teens pick.
The risk is massive.
For a team with multiple picks.
It's like, do I want to take a free vacation to Ireland, but with a rookie pilot driving? And not even a rookie pilot, like a guy who's in training, who's like 16. Like
How many hours of training does he have?
10. He's flying a 747.
I mean, like, the hardest part's landing, but like everything else is pretty much automatic at this point, right?
Just don't.
Am I in the play?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm taking a free vacation to Ireland, but I have to go with a 16-year-old pilot who's never flown a 747 before.
I mean, it can't be that hard, right? They pretty much fly themselves these days, right?
Close.
I would do it. I would pull the trigger on taking Bol there. I mean, if you're the Celtics, you have multiple picks this year, multiple picks next year. I'm taking a swing. I think that I don't disagree. P.J. Washington has evolved his game. He's gotten better everywhere across the board. He was blocking shots at an incredible rate. The big thing for me, though, is how much more can he continue to develop his game versus what I've seen out of a handful of games out of Bol, where he just looks incredible. Just outright incredible. You will never get anything physically comparable to him. Potentially, again, I don't know anything that I've ever seen close to that. So when you get that opportunity, I don't know that I would pass on that when I have as many chances in the draft in the next couple of years as the Celtics have. Especially for a guy who's going to be a bench player anyway. Like, you're not going to give this guy a ton of minutes. You already have your starters locked in. So,
but that's not true, because if Marcus Morris is leaving in free agency because he's a free agent, that might open up a spot at the 4 position.
Yeah, you just slide in one of your 4 wangs.
Yeah, either
Williams,
you can move
Bazley, Hayward down. No,
you
move Hayward or Tatum down.
Yeah.
But even then, if you're trading for AD, then that's,
if you're getting Anthony Davis, you're still playing on the bench.
I know it's going to fill up that spot again. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be.
So,
I just wanted to make that up.
Okay.
If you're trading Tatum, you're going to have to put AD there.
The thing that I looked at, and this was me with the Celtics in general, even with their third pick that they had in this mock draft.
Yeah.
There were 3 things that I looked to target. One, and this is in no particular order. Number 1, a 2 guard, because if you're going to get AD, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all, if not all, one will be in that deal. So you're going to need somebody to replace that. Number 2, I'm going to take a center, no matter where it is. I'm going to take a center with one of these picks. And then with that third, for me, that's kind of like a luxury one of fit what you think is best. And for me, because I am anticipating Kyrie leaving, give me a point guard. Give me one of these guys that I can take at the point guard position, because right now the only one under contract next year, yes, you can re-sign Rozier, but we'll see if another team tries to not max him out, but say, here you go, is Marcus Smart. So that is, to me, the 3 that I went with: center, 2 guard, point guard.
Well, the thing that if we're looking at my board for the Celtics, it would be P.J. Washington, Bol, and Kevin Porter. Kevin Porter could be that 2 guard, but I just think you need someone who has a little bit more maturity, and I think that P.J. Washington brings that. And then really it's the question between Bol and P.J. I understand the talent, the ceiling is there. I cannot trust it. I think he's going to break.
You wouldn't use a first-round pick on him, even though you have
Bol?
3. Yeah.
I would, but I would not pass up P.J. Washington. If he
3
falls,
picks in the first
if he
round.
falls to 18, if he falls to the Clipper pick, I would take Bol.
Okay.
And even last draft, I had Bol at 14 for the Celtics. Like that's where he starts to come into my radar.
Okay.
Like that's where he starts to be.
That's what I was trying to find out, because I know you're so anti him. I was like, where is that
top
barometer?
20. He's going to be picked in the top 20.
Okay.
And most likely, although I have these feelings right now, he's probably even going to rise to top 10. I mean, Bol is extremely talented offensively. Yeah. I'm not trying to take away from his talent. I just don't think he will be on the court. Yeah. And that's a huge problem. The best ability is availability, like we were saying last time.
Hey.
So I just think that's something that is extremely concerning to me for Bol. So I look at P.J. Washington. I think that he's just a guy that is going to continue to grow in the NBA. And also, you look at what he's done so far in the NBA, and from NBA threes, 19 of 39, 48%. Like, he can shoot right now.
Yeah.
And he's a great long mid-range shooter as well. He's 50% there. The only places he struggles is short mid-range, 27 of 70. So that just tells me he has a finishing problem. But also, I think he can bulk up a little bit more.
And maybe his shot selection can be improved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that also he doesn't have any. I don't think he has a ton of great moves exactly. I think he's a very good shooter. He doesn't have the ability to fake out guys, and he gets his shot blocked a lot. So I think that's the biggest thing that I look at is he does have
great instinct on defense for his size. He plays very well.
And I think as a stretch forward, he's a smart player. It's a great fit for Boston. I think you can't pass it up. I think he's exactly the player you want for Boston. How does he fit for you guys, though? I mean, do you think he's going to take a rise for you guys, or is he kind of set behind that 14? Is he a lottery pick at all?
Who, P.J. Washington?
Yeah, P.J. Washington.
I have him right outside, just outside the lottery right now. I mean, possibility, but I mean, the thing that I think looks at it is, I mean, the ball is going to be the big one. Him and Darius Garland are going to be the big ones because the injuries, we are going to get those questions at the combine.
Yep.
Another thing that's going to be answered at the combine is Jonte Porter. If he comes in shape, if he comes healthy, he's a guy that right now I have at 18, he can jump to that next one. And as Dave's showing me, May 15th is how long we have to wait until the combine, 15th through the 19th of May. But, like, we could see him rise. It depends on, I'm looking above them. I mean, Brandon Clark, there are so many. Like, there was one guy in the comments that was like, watch out, Brandon Clark is going to be on the rise. And I could believe it. Like, he could rise. Keldon Johnson could rise. Like, all the guys above them, I don't see many of them, except for the injured guys, falling. So for me, that's going to make it hard for someone like P.J. Washington to really climb up. I think the highest he gets to is maybe like if he's in the lottery, he is at 13, 14. That's the highest I think he's going to get just because of the guys above him. Unless there's, let's say the Lakers make a trade and those centers like a Jackson Hayes or a Ball don't go as high as we thought because other teams were like, hey, we traded up not to get a center, to get somebody else that we liked.
For sure. Dave, you have him going to the Jazz. I like that fit.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what the Jazz need. Don't get me wrong, Derek Favors is a cool guy, but...
Him and Joe Ingles together are fun.
Yeah.
Those guys can play together.
I don't disagree.
I would love to see that
If you
continue.
get him in a discount next year, I'm fine with bringing him back. I don't want to pay him the money he's making right now, though.
But I wouldn't pay him for the money on that team. I would pay him the money on a different team. I'm a huge favorite fan.
I know.
But I think that him as a 5 would be exciting.
This guy gets it.
What?
I said some would say that you favor him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what you come to this show for.
Bad puns.
Amazing puns. But no,
puns.
PJ Washington fits this team like a glove. Like, he walks in, he spaces out that floor so much right out the bat. I love defensively. He's got instinct. He can help lock down. Like, there's just everything you want to fit a Jazz team. He's the answer.
Well, let's talk about...
At this point in the draft, he's their answer.
A player that's similar, because I have the Jazz going with Cam Johnson. Another 4, similar size, playing at a blue blood school in North Carolina.
Yep.
Probably the best shooter, you said this, in the draft.
Yeah.
Career shooter of 81% from the line and a career shooter of 40% from 3. Right now he's averaging 16 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He really plays kind of like a guard, but in a 6'9" body.
Yeah.
I just really love his shot. I think he's extremely efficient. He's extremely quick with his shot. And I think as a stretch forward, that's huge. And if you're talking about the Jazz, having that to help Donovan Mitchell pass off to when driving and attacking, having that space out the floor for Gobert to work inside, having that next to Ingles, I think that would be extremely fun. Having your 1 through 4 be, if they resend Rubio, Donovan Mitchell, and then have Ingles, and then have Cam Johnson, and then have Gobert, I think that'd be extremely fun for the Jazz watching them. I just really like Cam Johnson. You're not going to find a better shooter. And this Jazz team, I don't think they need another project or anything like that. I don't think they need to go after a guy like Nassir Little or Ayo Dosunmu or KZ Okpala. I don't think they need some of these guys that need developing. I think they need to go after a guy who can start for them. And Cam Johnson, he might not have that top end. He's very similar to his former teammate Justin Jackson.
Yeah.
But I think he's better than Justin Jackson. His skill of shooting didn't come out of nowhere, because Justin Jackson was a 26% 3-point shooter his junior year, and then his senior year he was like a 48% shooter. Cam Johnson has been a consistently great shooter, and I think he can offer more to a team. I worry about his defensive ability, but also you're playing next to Rudy Gobert. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing is PJ Washington is a complete package as a forward in my mind. Yeah, and that's the thing. So for me, I go on PJ, but I think Cam Johnson's interesting, but he's also a 5th-year senior.
And
that. He is what he is, and PJ Washington, like you said, in 1 year we watched him jump a solid level of improvement. Like he went from being not a first-round pick, even maybe a mid 2 in the draft last year. I'm trying to remember back to last year, and I honestly am too lazy to look it up. But he went from being a second-round pick, where it's he had a pretty disappointing first year in college, to the point where he improved his 3-point shot from 23% to 41%. And adding that, going from 0.6 attempts a game to 2.3 attempts a game, free throw percentage jumped up, shot percentage stayed about the same at 54.4 to 54.2. No big deal there. All he's done is get better in college. He's a better rebounder. He's a better blocker. He's got a great IQ defensively. I don't think we've seen the top of PJ Washington when Cam Johnson. I get it. He's a plug and play. He's an NBA player today, but his defense concerns me too much. He's in a protected system right now.
And that's fair. And I think that the defense concerns me, but the age really doesn't, because you look at, let's use Malcolm Brogdon as an example. Malcolm Brogdon was a very well-rounded overall player. Cam Johnson is a specific skill player. But that draft of 2016 was way deeper than this draft that we're talking about. And you look at the guys who were taken, let's say at 19, Malik Beasley was taken by Denver. He was a project, took a while, clearly working out for them right now. But you look at the guys that were taken in that area. Wade Baldwin did not make it with Memphis Grizzlies. They took him at 17. Henry Ellison is getting buried in Detroit. I think he was even just traded, wasn't he? Traded. You look at Karras, who's been injured, but he's been a great pick. DeAndre Bembry has not played for Atlanta very rarely. Evan Malachi Richardson for Charlotte, who has not played for I think it was Charlotte, whatever. He didn't even end up on that team. Wherever he is, he got cut from the Raptors. So in that area of that, would you go back and take Malcolm Brogdon there? Yes. And I think that
take the known.
I think that you have to look at the production and respect it. And if you're overshooting, then fine. But you're also the Jazz, and I think you can kind of take that risk. And I think that he's going to be a guy that can add.
It's true.
At worst, a bench shooter, and that's going to help this team.
Oh, yeah.
Marginally.
I mean, there's a reason they went out and went after Kyle Korver. They need scoring on that team. They need someone who can step in and take shots, and Cam Johnson can fill that role. He is happy. He's pulling the trigger. Right now he's shooting 10 threes a game, and that's his lowest of his 5 years of college, which is hilarious. But he's also hitting them at 46%.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
Dave, Ricky, let's get into your pick of the Jazz, because we're on the Jazz. We talked about PJ. We talked about Cam. You have Grant Williams going there. Still a 4.
I'm confused. I'm looking at your power forward. I get everyone's different.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yours has to be exactly like mine, but first thing about Cam Johnson is I think he's going to be I have him in our next part of the draft. There's a reason we talked about him with John, one of our patrons, about being a sleeper, because he is a guy that has that sleeper mentality, not mentality. He's ability. And he's a guy that I expect to maybe rise as the draft goes. Right now I have him later on, could be higher as we get closer to the draft. Dave said the Jazz need scoring. It's funny, we all have him going with a 4. I love Grant Williams. I love what he's able to do. I was kind of stat watching during the first segment, the Tennessee-Kentucky game. I get we're in March, where everyone's you get on the national stage of champ week in the tournament, and you fall in love with players. But after a slow start, he finishes with 20 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 9 of 11 from the line, and 7 boards. He's a guy that's going to score, get to the line, has the ability to get you boards, and is averaging 19 a game to where
Are you worried about his size as a 4?
But he's a little guy.
I mean, that to me doesn't bother me too much.
Can he get to the hoop with the same level of success because of his short stature. Right
he's not
now,
a shooter. I mean, he's got a good free throw percentage.
Right.
He can build up.
which
to be a
is
shooter.
which is the thing. Like free throw
And
percentage,
he's not
sure, but
taking
that's where
a
he's
ton of
getting.
threes. Like today, he knocked down 1 of 2.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean, he's a
great.
guy that he fucking went 23 or 23.
Yeah.
The man lives at the line.
Yeah, he put up 43 points. Like, and he did like a James Harden thing. Like, he can shoot
But
from the line.
he's got that old man game. Like he runs into the low post and then he'll clip somebody's arm and get the foul. And the question is,
So
is
he's
that
a Spur.
But is that sustainable?
Spur.
Yeah,
I think
is that sustainable with his height and the lack of physical superiority that he won't have at the NBA level? Right now in college, he's bigger than a lot of these kids.
As a guy who is very similar to Bonzi Colson from Notre
There's
Dame.
a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, he was only
Bonzi.
drafted like a year ago.
I loved him at Notre Dame.
But he was a guy, again, 6'6", loved to play in the post. He dominated the college game, but he doesn't. You could just tell he didn't have that extra level. I think Grant Williams is a better player. I want to make that clear. He's a better athlete. He's more conditioned than Bonzi was.
Bonzi was a little fat.
Yeah, Bonzi was a bigger guy. But I think that it was still. I think it's still something that he has the tools to still develop. I think he's really in a role right now that he's dominating. I think he's a smart player that can develop. So I like Grant Williams. It's just wonder like where is his ceiling? And I think that when we're looking at the NBA, comparing Grant Williams to a Cam Johnson could step in and provide a role for 10 years because he's a great shooter.
Yeah.
So and Grant Williams, he might get sized out. And that's the concern that I have with Grant Williams. I still have him as a first rounder. We'll talk about him later for me, or at least I mention him. But that's the one thing that I just worry about.
And not to play too much off that, but like the same thing for who's the guy that Portland drafted 2 years ago?
Give me some help.
He's like a 4 who is
Collins?
No, he's an undersized. Right before Collins, I think, or later in the draft. Either way.
I got it. I'm going to look it up. 2017.
Yeah, I think so. He's somebody I liked in college. Caleb Swanigan.
There it is,
Like,
yeah.
undersized guys in the NBA scare me at times because he's a guy who had a really fun skill set in college, and his aggression made him a great rebounder for his size. But then at the NBA level, you take away that advantage, and, like, what is he?
The Swanigan didn't have that athleticism. That was a big thing. So if Grant Williams can have that athleticism that transfers over, then he might be able to make it. Swanigan was just slow.
Yeah,
you could tell. Swanigan was a beast because he had a very crafty
but he dominated
player.
He's a crafty player who dominated because of his size. Even though he was only 6'9", he was going up and playing center a lot. He was able to grab boards. I mean, 10 rebounds a game in college, pretty freaking good. Pretty freaking good. I'm sorry, that was his average in his final year at Purdue. It was 12.5 boards. Like, he was an elite rebounder at 6'9". But like I said, as soon as you take away that size advantage from the guys around you, aka college versus the pro, he's now just a smaller role player on a team fighting for minutes.
And that's why I like guys like Cam Johnson and PJ Washington, is because they're not relying on that size.
Yeah.
And that's something that I do like. And then maybe, Brandon Clark's a guy, too, that, he's not relying on his size to block shots. He's strictly athletic to be blocking the shots. And that's his best quality that he has right now. That's why he's a guy that I really like in this draft. But that's, like, guys like Grant Williams scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
Schofield as well. He's a guy that worries me, too, because he's using his size. He's using his length and his, his bruteness to make it in college right now. But will that be able to transfer over? It's different for guys like Matthias Thybulle. His size is a
it's NBA size.
It's NBA size. Exactly.
Not many guys in the NBA have a 7+ inch on top, like from their height to their reach. Yeah. And I think we're assuming measuring around 7 feet for his wingspan, right?
I think it's 6'10" for a 6'5" guard or something like that.
Yeah, I think right now he's at 6'11".
Yeah,
so basically.
I'm hoping he measures in at 7 feet just to give us that
to be cool
notch.
But let's move now to the Celtics. Kind of, we talked about PJ Washington. You were talking a little bit about the 2-guard position, though.
Yeah.
Who's on the board that you really like for them?
Well, I mean, early on, of course, at 14, I had them go with Colby White, but originally in one of my first drafts for this I was like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That was early on before the 22-23 we'll get to, that flipped because of games yesterday, so I had to switch what I had.
Yeah.
But like for me, they could go in this range, go to Colby White. They could even take a stab at a Kevin Porter Jr. They can go with a Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It's just, to me, which 2-guard Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens really like. Like, there's no 1-2 guard that's like, yes, this is the only guy that fits with this Boston team.
Yeah, I think you don't have to worry about system, but I think having Kobe White on the board, absolutely grab him. Like, I think he's in a different category than Nickeil Alexander-Walker is.
Why do you think that?
I mean, he's a year younger. He's performing better, and I trust him more off ball than I do Nickeil. Nickeil is good, and don't get me wrong, I still have him going to the Celtics like 3 picks later.
Yeah,
but,
we have the same at 18.
But when I watch Nickeil play, like, my concern is when that guy gets put, like, when the pressure gets put on him, he has a turnover problem. That's extremely mean to say. Like, that's the one thing that stands out about his game.
It's critical, but
when I watch him play, I'm like, wow, he's got a really good tool set. Like, I love the fact that, we get to see him and his cousin both play at the NBA level. This is going to be awesome. But as I watch him play, I'm like, all right, so he does crumble a little bit when they put the clamps on him defensively, has a turnover problem. He can score at multiple levels, which is really nice. I think he's got a clean shot, but I think the upside from Kobe White is higher. So I would absolutely separate Kobe White into that different category.
Yeah, and that's why my first pick with the Kings couldn't get it quick enough. However, the one question that I will have is if Kobe White was off the board and Brandon Clark was available, because the T-Wolves, I was thinking either White or Clark. If White was taken by the T-Wolves at 13, I would have had Brandon Clark be the first player the Celtics get, because he's a guy that I think has the potential to be top 10.
But we're looking at guards and fours, pretty much.
Yeah, and it really depends to me. The Celtics have to be smart with it. And of course, they could trade these picks,
right?
But they have to be smart with it. Where can I get, if I'm going for this 2-guard, where can I get the one I like? But also, okay, I like these 2 guards. I like these 4s. This guy's going to be here at 14. Will this guy be here at 22? Will this guy be here at 8? Where they're going to have to do a lot of planning that way when it comes to them. And if you value, let's say, Brandon Clark's there at 14, all right, this guy gets pushed to the side because he's not going to be there at 22 where I'm at. Okay, I might have to go with a Nickeil. Like, that's kind of the game that they're going to have to play.
I just think Nickeil, along with P.J. Washington, they just fit that Celtics mold. They just both seem like smart players. And yes, Nickeil has that turnover problem, and you look at the big games against Louisville, 6 turnovers, against Florida State, 6 turnovers, against Syracuse, 5 turnovers, NC State, 5 turnovers, Clemson, 5 turnovers, Notre Dame, 5 turnovers, Purdue, 4, Florida State, again, 4, Miami, 4. He does have that problem of coughing the ball up, but I think I'm not too worried about it just because he just seems so similar to his cousin, and I don't want to knock him too much because he's at a worse college. He wasn't playing for Kentucky. He didn't have Kevin Knox next to him. Yeah. And he's right now averaging more points than his cousin did in his freshman year. I know obviously it's a year older, but 16.6 points compared to Shea's 14.4. He has worse assist numbers, 5.1 to 4, but again, playing with a worse team. He has more steals than Shea was averaging his freshman year, 1.9 to 1.6. He has a worse shooting percentage, but he's also taking more than Shea was. Shea was taking 1.5 threes a game on 40%, and Nickeil was taking 4.7. He's making 38%, which I really like.
Absolutely.
And right now he's at 77% from the line. So
fundamentally, he is sound. Like, he is absolutely first-round talent.
I think you can clean up the turnovers, especially if you're putting him on a Boston team, where you're playing next to, like, let's say, a Jason Tatum, or hell, even an Anthony Davis, or and next to a Kyrie Irving.
Do you foresee him being a 1-guard or a 2-guard at the NBA level? Because for me,
I think he's a combo.
Yeah, I've got him as a combo. I think he's kind of like that flex, which is why I like him on the Celtics, because I think that
if they play him heavy, to play the one, he can.
They play heavy into the switchable.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is he's big, so he can switch, and he can switch onto the threes. I think that he's a guy that I truly think is just a guy that if the Celtics get their hands on him, he's going to grow. Yeah, and he's going to sprout like his cousin has the ability to. I think they're both. If he goes to the Celtics, him and his cousin would be in a great place. 2 great places to really grow and develop, because we see what the Clippers have been doing so far with Shea. I know has ups and downs like every rookie, but you see his high points and you see why he was taken as high as he was last year. I really like Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the Celtics. We'll just throw in the 23rd pick here too, or the 22nd pick here too. I have Jonte Porter. Ricky, you have Luka Samanic. What was it, Samanic? I forget.
Your guess
is
pronounce everything. Yeah.
Samanic. And then you have Dave Goga Batazde going to them. So we all
double
have
international.
Yeah, we all have international. We all outside of Jonte Porter, and we all kind of are going with that big idea.
But I had Jonte at 18 to him.
Yeah, he's
so I did have Jonte go.
Yeah, and my thing with Jonte is I'm just worried about the speed, and I'm worried about the size. But then again, we're talking about it, a second-year player, just like P.J. Washington, just like Nickeil Alexander Walker, and he is a guy that has a lot of tools. He doesn't have that crazy athleticism, but he has a lot of tools. He is a smart player, so that's why I like Jonte for the Celtics. I thought it was a natural fit for that team.
And they can take it slow with him and condition him up to whatever they need because they have no rush to play him.
Yeah, and who does he remind you of? Like, he reminds me of a less athletic Al Horford.
I guess.
Watching him. Like, I think that they have similar sizes. They're both guys that are smart. They can play smart defense. I don't think they're ever going to be like Joel Embiid defensively where they're like, bullying people down there. But I think they could be smart, put themselves in the right position, steal some balls, block some shots. And I think that he can build into a stretch 5, which Horford is. And I think he could be a smart player. And I think, I don't know his leadership abilities yet.
Right.
But even when his brother was out in Missouri, he was stepping up as a freshman. And I really like that. So Jonte Porter, I think, would be a nice fit for the Celtics. I think that's where his slide stops because I am worried about his injuries.
I think he fits that bench scoring 5 that Kelly O provided for them in the past. I think it's an easy transition for him. Kelly was a bit more athletic and aggressive, but Jonte's just got a smooth shot, and if they can get him conditioned to the point where he's no longer the slowest human being at the combine, they got money moving forward because there's not a lot of guys at his size who have that ability to shoot.
Kelly Olynyk being aggressive, that doesn't sound like Kelly Olynyk.
Not the arm breaker, Kelly
Olynyk. Not the arm bar. Let's move now to the Nets, and this is the final team we're going to talk about. Dave, you have Brandon Clark, Ricky, P.J. Washington, and I have Rui Hachimura. We thought this was interesting just because these are all guys that we like. Ricky likes Rui Hachimura. I like P.J. Washington. Dave likes Brandon Clark. So
only one of them chose the player that they liked.
But the thing that's funny is here, like, think about this. I like Brandon Clark. I've got him the lowest. Ricky likes Rui Hachimura.
He has him the highest.
And you've got him the highest. But you've got him the lowest, Sean.
Yeah, I hate Rui Hachimura. I don't.
Why?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
There was one commenter that says, I like Ricky because he likes Rui,
Oh,
and I hate Sean because he does not like Rui.
I think it's Kentro.
It is.
Oh, is it Kentro?
It's the guy I mentioned on Twitter who tweeted
I don't know how to
me.
read Mandarin, so I apologize. I didn't know how to say his name.
Is he from? I think he said Japan. I think he said.
Well, I'm assuming if he's got the Mandarin letters for his name, and then also if he's like in Hachimura.
He's the one that hit me up on Twitter.
He's been watching for FIBA.
Yeah.
So it would make. The connection would make sense that he likes Rui.
But it was just funny. The whole 3 spot was interesting. That when you brought that up, it sort of caused revelation for me at least. I don't know if you changed opinions.
I think I just said something extremely offensive. I don't think it's Mandarin. I think it's Japanese lettering.
It is Japanese. Yeah,
my apologies.
That's why I said that's why I was questioning. I'm like, no, I think he said he's from Japan.
It is Asian languages that I do not know how to read, and I apologize for that. But I don't hate Hachimura. I question what his top end is going to be. And is he a guy that's just physically dominant? Like, we talked about, the guys like Grant Williams. Like, is he just more impressive because he's more athletic than these guys? And does he have a better shot to hit it because he's more athletic than these guys? He's a guy that I don't really see an NBA game from him. I just see a guy who has an NBA body. So there's a moldable potential in him, for sure. I just don't know what his role is in the NBA, and that's why I'm not as high as on him. I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he's a bad player. I just worry about his NBA potential, and especially coming from Gonzaga.
What separates him from his teammate then, Brandon Clark? Because both these are older players who are dominating because of their athleticism or size.
I think Clark, you can see the mold of stepping into a stretch 4 spot more than Hachimura, because I think the big thing is Clark's defense. I think that's already an NBA skill, where I don't see Hachimura's NBA skill exactly. He's a very good driver, and he's a very good slasher, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But I think Brandon Clark has the higher potential to become an NBA pro, because he was just named a defensive finalist for the Naismith defensive finalist. He's putting up 16 points, was doing 17 back at San Jose State. And you look at his free throw percentage, and it's getting better. He's near 70%. He's not taking a ton of threes. But I think if he works on his game more, he can become a stretch 4. And I think he has a better fit in the NBA, where Hachimura, I think he's going to be good in transition. I think he's going to be good driving with the ball in his hands. But I would rather have Brandon Clark off ball than Rui Hachimura. And I don't think either of those guys should have the ball in their hands as a number 1 or a guy who is playing on the wing.
See, but the thing that I look at, and this even happened in the St. Mary's game, was that even though he can play off ball, Rui's a guy that can get into passing lanes and then turn that into transition. I know it's just one little snapshot, but in the loss to St. Mary's, there was one pass game. He tipped it out, yet again, the athleticism to outrun the defender, pick it up, put it in for the easy 2. And I wonder how much of that is going to be translatable at the next level, even though I do have him as a top 10 pick in this draft, because yet again, they lost that game, but that was St. Mary's. NBA player, St. Mary's player, the body and obviously the skill is a little bit different.
And I know some people might bring up the fact that Brandon Clark's only taken 14 threes and has taken less free throws, and Hachimura has a higher free throw percentage, and Hachimura's taken 32 threes. He's shooting 46%. I just don't know. I'm probably just being too critical of him. I'll be completely honest. I think I'm being too critical of him. I just don't know if it's there for him. And he has the NBA body.
Well, with Rui's stuck in a tweener role. He's the size of, he has, the foot speed of a 4, but his ideal role is a slashing 3. I think from our conversation, that's kind of where we concluded. So it's like, so you're an oversized 3 basically, and we're going to hope that hope that you can continue to develop that game to play more outside in rather than inside out that you're currently doing. Brandon Clark, I think, is going to end up being, a stretch, probably a small ball 5 in all honesty. Like, he's a guy who, because of his defensive IQ around the rim, he's such a good rim protector that I absolutely love the idea of him rolling in as a small ball 5 or a 4.
Defensively,
either way.
I think defensively he'd be a 5.
Yeah.
And then offensively he'd be more of a 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be his key role.
He rolls to the net so well, though. That's the thing. I love giving him the ball towards the top of the key lane, him roll to the net, spin move off. It's his bread and butter right now.
Perfect fit for him is Brandon Clark to the T-Wolves. Putting him next to Cat is the perfect role in my idea. That's what I have right now.
Honestly, I like that. I hate when you convince me.
Because Cat doesn't need to be...
Dave's like, I'm going to switch it right now.
You guys both have him going there, too.
I do.
Cat can play that offensive 5. He can play that offensive 4.
How come you guys didn't loop me in on this ahead of time? Make me look like an asshole here.
You're an asshole.
No, I'm just...
I think that would be the perfect fit. Him next to Cat would be extremely interesting.
That does sound...
Because Cat has length and size, but I think that Clark has that intensity, has that ability to get up and block shots, and I think that he would be the piece next to Cat, an athletic young piece, to keep him up. Like, Gorgie Dieng just isn't doing it.
Yeah.
What they've been rolling out next to Cat isn't doing it. I think Clark would be an exciting piece to put next to Cat defensively and offensively. Because then Cat could just be playing a 4 offensively. And,
that's his ideal situation. He's shooting incredibly.
He's the most efficient big man I've ever seen.
Anyone's ever seen.
He's incredible. Like, I love Nikola Jokic, right? I'm not going off him. But offensively, like, he's a crazy scorer, Cat. Yep. So I like the Brandon Clark fit with the T-Wolves. And maybe this is a fit.
You're probably gonna see that on the next mock for me.
If it's a big board, I probably would put Hachimura above him.
Yeah.
But I just don't like a fit really for Hachimura, and then it's just when you get to the Nets 16, his talent shouldn't fall farther than that.
Got it.
I don't know. I had probably a poor time explaining it, but that's
how I
feel about it.
I'm glad you took the time though.
Final things with the Nets would be Brandon Clark next to Jared Allen. What do you think?
Domination.
Okay.
No
one scoring.
No one's
we
going
are
to
the nation.
No one's going
a
to
domination.
I mean, the problem is you can't have another throw on the team. That's the disappointment here.
So
like if Kobe White was
be
available, taking him. And him and Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen out there, like this team's getting amazing. No, the Nets honestly have been looking for a 4. They've bounced around a couple pieces to try to find that ideal lineup. But I think the future, if they could add someone like Brandon Clark, who I think, like you said, he can grow that shot outside, and defensively he's already there. So I would absolutely love that fit for him.
All right. That's going to do it for 11 through 20. Don't forget to check out 21 through 30. That's going to come out tomorrow if you're watching this the day this dropped. And then also don't forget to drop your comments and concerns for the mailbag that we're doing. But let's move into the final segment, 21 through 30 of our Mock Draft 4.0. If you're liking it, let us know down in the comments below. Also, if you have any ideas, you have any comments, questions, concerns, let us know. Go in detail. We'll read it on our mailbag next week.
True.
We want to hear from you. Whether you disagree or agree with us, let us know down in the comments below. Also, check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We are revamping it April 1, so keep an eye out on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that, because it's going to be big. I feel like it's going to be big. I think it's a really good
It's
change.
gonna be huge.
It's going to be huge.
Yikes. I think it's going to be a good change, though. Let's move 21 through 30. Ricky, start us off.
Well, starting off at number 21, the Thunder are going to take Nassir Little, the forward from UNC.
What was that?
I don't know. I felt like doing it. Then at number 22, I'm feeling it, Dave. Feeling it. At 22, the Celtics are going to take Luka Semenik. Did I say that right? Semenik? I hope I said it right. Forward from International. Then the Trailblazers taking Trey Jones, guard out of Duke.
From
I
International.
love that you say that.
From International.
I don't even care to look up his club.
Cavs via the Rockets at number 24 are going to go with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, guard out of VT. Then at 25, the Pacers go with Zach Norville Jr., the guard from the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Then at 76, the 76ers
26.
go with, or 26, I said 76?
You did.
You're really having a
At
rough
pick
thing, dude.
76, the 76ers take Iggy Brzdikis, the forward from the Michigan Wolverines, who just moved on to the Big Ten final that'll be played tomorrow as we're recording this. Then 27, Cam Johnson, the forward from UNC. Then Admiral Schofield, the forward from Tennessee, going to the Warriors at 28. Then Bruno Fernando, or as I called him on the big board, Bruno Fernandez, the center from the Maryland Terrapins, going to the Spurs via the Raptors at 29. And then rounding it out at 30, the Bucks taking Talon Horton Tucker, forward from Iowa State, who is currently right now beating Kansas.
Something I love about you is that
I just get weird energy.
No, when you're wrong,
does.
you get weirdly proud. I called this guy the complete wrong fucking name, and I'm proud of it.
Sometimes you just gotta buy into.
he owns it.
I
You gotta buy
ashamedly
it.
just referred to Japanese.
I am
the
who I
Japanese
am.
alphabet. The Japanese language as Mandarin, which is probably
just
so
wrong.
wrong at so many levels.
You corrected yourself.
I corrected myself, but I am so embarrassed
You
by
said
that.
you were
You'd be
sorry.
like, oh well.
Hey,
And then like
you're sorry.
the next segment, you're like, remember that time?
Yeah.
You didn't mean any harm by it.
No, I didn't, but it's wrong.
It's funny.
Dave, 21 through 30.
And at 21, I've got the Thunder going Jonte Porter from Hurt.
Gorga Batiste. Don't forget Gorga.
Oh yeah, he also called him Gorga.
Jesus Christ.
At 22, I've got the Celtics going with Goga.
So I brought it up because
Wow. Strong game. At 23, I've got the Trailblazers going with Grant Williams. At 24, I've got the Cavs going with Tyler God, I hate myself. Hero. At 25, I've got the Pacers going with Luguentz Dort. At 26, I've got the 76ers going with Cam Johnson. At 27, I've got the Nets going with Talon Horton Tucker. At 28, I've got the Warriors going with Trey Jones. 29, I've got the Spurs going Eric Pascal. And at 30, I've got the Bucks taking Matthias Thybulle.
Love it. I love Matthias Thybulle.
I know.
Being on a
I
different
literally just put him
mock
there
draft.
just for you, Sean.
I love it. At 21, I have the best player in the draft going to the
you were
Thunder,
going to say the
Nazri.
NBA, weren't you?
He's
Best
about to be
player
in the
in
Oh,
the
did I
NBA.
not say that?
As soon as he gets
No.
drafted,
It
he'll
sounded
be
like
in the
you were
NBA.
going to say that, but then didn't.
At 21, I have the new GOAT, Naz Reid,
There you go.
going to the Thunder. At 22, I have the Celtics taking Jonte Porter. At 23, the Trailblazers taking Nassir Little from UNC. 24, the Cavs via the Rockets taking Goga Batazde. Hope we're getting it right. We've
I
learned.
feel
No
pretty
one's,
good about
tried.
no one's corrected us.
I think that one's good.
25, Pacers taking Ayo Dosunmu from Illinois. 26, 76ers taking Tyler Hero from the Kentucky Wildcats. 27, the Nets via the Nuggets taking Darius Bazley, the high school kid committed
From
to
New Balance.
Yeah, from New Balance, the intern from New Balance. He was a 13th ranked prospect from ESPN, the high school rankings. Committed to Syracuse, decommitted.
Yeah.
Was going to go to the G League and then got
Jake don't like him.
Yeah, he got a $1 million internship to go work for New Balance. So good for him. Warriors 28 taking Grant Williams from Tennessee. 29 Spurs via the Raptors taking Matthias Thybulle. And 30 Bucks taking Daniel Gafford from Arkansas. Let's jump in first. I want to talk about Nassir Little. This guy sucks at basketball. He just, what does he bring to the floor? And the only reason why I put him there is because he has size and because this draft class sucks. I do not like him as a prospect. I was put there because I feel like I'd be ashamed if I didn't put him at 30. I don't get it. I don't see it. He hasn't shown me anything. And he had the opportunity to. He went up against Cam Reddish, a guy who I just bashed in 1 through 10 for not putting up production. He went up against Cam Reddish, and Cam Reddish didn't have that great of a first half in the first 18 minutes or whatever when Naz Little was on him. So that was fine. But then he goes up on Zion and gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah,
so if he's going to go up against the best player in this draft class,
And he was the number
NBA
4
guy,
coming into this class. Naz?
Yeah, Naz was the number 4 high school prospect. He got his ass handed to him by the best high school prospect. I don't see it with him. What am I missing? What should we be looking for?
With me, I'm pretty sure I came to this realization
that he sucks?
when Brandon and I talked about Nassir Little on our last big board. And for me, I think it just comes down to last time we were on a mock draft, I was saying, well, it's about what's above the shoulders, it's about what's above the shoulders, not below it. I just think he's in his head too much. And I'm like, the only thing I can think of why, because we saw recently a good game out of him. Like a week ago, like it was a podcast or so where we trashed him, or Dave trashed him. It's like, oh man, Nassir Little had a really good game today. Like we've seen good games, but the only thing I can think of going up against Duke, it being a now national stage, they're not at Duke, they're not in, like, I know ESPN's going to be there, you're playing Duke, but like now it's the ACC tournament and the lights of March are on you.
Oh yeah.
I just think maybe the pressure got to him, but the big thing is I think that he's way too much into his own head. It's kind of like when you're trying to walk and you're thinking, like when you're sick and you're like, wow, I actually have to think about taking breaths and breathing. I've never had to do this
and
before.
Something Roy Williams said after the loss to Duke was that we still have 6 more games. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we still have, the national championship to worry about, and national championship ring.
They still have 6 more games until they lose.
Until they lose one.
I kind of like UNC in the tourney.
Yeah,
I know this is pre-tourney.
Until they play Duke.
He had 3
until they play Zion.
He had 3 games against Duke in the last month and a half, basically.
2 without Zion.
2 without Zion. And in those 2 games, let's see, he played 11 minutes, went 1 of 3, 2 points, 2 points, 2 assists, 1 board, 9 points, 4 boards, 1 block, and then 9 points, 5 boards.
Like, in that last game,
none of those stand out.
In that last game, that was probably his best game that Duke won, and he got his ass handed to him by Zion.
Yep.
But I really like the way he was running the floor.
He played off ball. He was actually active off ball, which is nice.
And that's the thing that I've seen the most from him. But still, his best game is 19 points. 19 points against St. Francis of Pennsylvania.
He's got a 23.
Where?
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that was the one.
I don't know how to read.
That was his one good game.
That's right.
He had an 18er, which was Florida State, and then the 23 prior to that.
His high, 23, 21, 19, 18, 14.
Yeah.
Twice. And, some of it since Elon, St. Francis, Pennsylvania, UNC, Wilmington, and Harvard.
No. The Virginia Tech game was his most complete game. He had the inside shot going. He hit 2 out of 3 threes. He hit 7 from 7 from the line. That was his best game by far. And you can watch the rest of his game and go, oh, that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
That's weird. That shouldn't happen normally. And that's a bad thing to say about someone who is a top prospect from this class. That was it's terrible because he's someone who his defense is supposed to be, he's got that NBA body. He's ready to defend at the NBA level. And when your defense isn't flashy, it's hard to tell. Well, so you're playing off the eye test at that point.
Yeah.
And we're watching him against the best players in college basketball as of late, and he is not able to stand up to the level of competition.
And he showed his defense in the Nike Summit, and he was going up against Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett, and he was stopping them defensively. And that's where he kind of got that, what's it called?
Moniker.
Yeah, the what's it
title.
Called? Yeah, the title. You
No.
got the
What's the? I know what you're thinking, but I'm
it.
bad at words.
The label, kind of.
You'd say label, but that's
Label of a defender.
The moniker.
Not really.
Okay.
Whatever.
Reputation. Is what you're looking for.
Reputation as a great defender, and it really hasn't showed that much. And you could have showed that.
Analogy for moniker, reputation.
No, it is. But I just wanted to get the right word.
Yeah.
I just look at him. I just like he has that talent. He has that body. He has everything that you want from a prospect. But it's Cam Reddish, but times 1,000. Like there is no production. Like there is nothing that's like wow. Like Cam should be starting in the team. Nassir Little definitely should not be starting in UNC.
We all understand why he's not.
Yeah, if he comes in the combine and has a great combine, like maybe, and if he's playing well on 5-on-5s, then
he's going to get turned up playing against chairs in the workouts. Like, is that
if
what we're
he does,
saying?
he's falling second round. Like I think this could be a Scale thing.
Whoa.
Where Scale was so bad at Kentucky, he falls to pretty much the 26th pick.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's actually a great comp, though. Like
Scale was
for
the
what happened
guy.
to you in college.
Yeah, because Scale was like number 1 high school rank at some point.
I think he bounced out right before.
2015. He was the second player. in the 2015 one, right behind Ben Simmons, in front of Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram, and like he never had it in the NBA. He had some spots where he was like, whoa. But like he just never had it in the NBA. He never had it in college, and just like I feel like that might be Nassir Little. It's just like Scal was supposed to be this offensive monster, and Nassir was supposed to be this defensive monster, and they never hit either in college or the NBA. And I just feel like that's what it's going to be. Everything should be there for Nassir Little. He just hasn't been able to put it together. Well, I hope he does.
Here's the thing,
but you're thinking it's unlikely that he does.
Yeah, I want to put him in my second round, but I just feel guilty doing it.
Well, and this is one thing that it just popped in my head because I mentioned this on the big board, and obviously you guys weren't there. I can finally mention it to you guys. So I'm going to play a little blind resume with you right now, Sean. Mm-hmm. I've got two guys. I'm going to read you off some stats. You tell me which one you'd rather pick, okay? Guy number one, both of them freshmen. They were one-and-done guys, didn't stay for another year. So the first guy, 9.3 points per game, 0.8 assists per game, 5 boards a game, shot 44% from the field, 35% from three.
Can I get their 3-point percentages too? Or their free throw?
Free throw percentage was a 71.8%.
Okay. That's player one?
That's player one.
How many minutes?
How many minutes?
I love
he
it.
got
The thoroughness is needed.
21 minutes a game.
Okay.
And
Player
he played
two?
36 games. Player two, 9.4 points per game, 0.7 assists per game,
Okay.
4.6 rebounds, shot 46% from the field, 26.5% from three, 76.8 from the foul line, played 18 minutes a game.
Well, I know that player B is Nassir Little.
Yes.
Because
you've studied his stats.
Yeah, it's the free throw percentage because the huge he's not good 3-point percentage, but like you look at the free throw percentage, and that's what I like have in my first round because like maybe he does have that in him.
And yes, these are different positions, but I'm going to make my point after you give me why.
It's not Scale because Scale wasn't taking that many threes.
No, it's not.
He's a starting wing in the NBA today.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Stanley Johnson.
No. Do you want one more guess?
Starting? He's starting. Kelly Oubre?
It is Kelly Oubre. And
Nice second guess.
And the reason why I bring that up, and I brought that up, was
It feels so good.
similar
That's pretty good.
stats in college, only played 1 year, but look at Kelly Oubre in the NBA. Was drafted by the Wizards. His first year needed, like his basically first and second year were him adapting. 63 games, only started 9. 79, only started 5. 81 games his third year, and that was where we kind of saw that first leap of like, oh, he's scoring 11 per game now. Then he took another progression that second year to where now he's a 16 per game scorer as a 23-year-old this time on Phoenix and Washington. Not just Washington, but I wonder if that's kind of the path for Nassir Little. We're drafting him. I'm not expecting you to contribute until year 3. Like, year 3 is really when your potential is really going to cash in.
Yeah, I think that's a good comp. I just and Oubre was 15th, so I think.
And Oubre also had the basketball IQ of like a brick. So
Do you think Nassir Little has a better IQ?
I mean, we've
I
questioned
think they're in
it.
the same range.
Okay.
I think that's actually a really valid comp.
Yeah, I think that's a good comp.
That you
Bravo.
hope.
That's good.
I usually
That's good.
don't have that, so when I do,
know,
I got to
that's-
bring it up.
Yeah.
I would. Can I pass on both?
I mean,
Ubre's
now that
been
you
good-
know who
good.
they are.
Ubre's been better at Phoenix, and he's definitely going to get a second look. But I don't know. I mean, he needed a change of scenery. He was playing with all-stars. It's just like he needed a lot to
He
get
needed
to where
usage.
he was.
Like they weren't.
Yeah.
The Wizards weren't going to pay him.
But
So-
is usage Nassir Little's problem? I don't know. And I again, we'll have to wait and see.
Be
I
interesting
think
to see because that's the one thing he hasn't got because he's playing
Or-
behind two guys
Or
better than him.
he just needs time to kind
That
of
too.
he's got
develop.
lottery potential, but I can't put him in the lottery right now.
Yeah.
But let's move now to the 76ers because we have guys that we want to talk about. Dave, you have Cam Johnson. Ricky, you have Iggy Brzdikis from Michigan. And then I have Tyler Hero from Kentucky. Let's talk about the red hot Tyler Herro. You have Dave him going to the Cavs, and Ricky, you have him not on your board.
I did originally, and then he got bumped out.
Okay, I thought you did. Well, let's talk about him because he's been on fire for Kentucky, and he might be the second best shooter in this draft.
He probably is.
He's got silky smooth stroke. He could score like crazy. What's holding him back, Dave? What do you look at him, and what's the negatives of him?
The negative is his consistency. His shot, I'd say consistency on top of his shot selection. The crazy thing is he's hitting 94% of his free throws.
Yep.
And he's taking a couple free throws a game. Like, it's very hit or miss. He can draw contact. He really needs to sell better. But, like, multiple games of 6 of 6, 8 of 8, 8 of 9, 4 of 4, 5 of 5. Like, he has that scoring ability. And I know we talked about him.
Dude's got to get to the line.
Yeah. And when he's doing it, he's on fire. And that's the thing is, as of late, he's really come on. You talked about Keldon Johnson's decline. I think it's more so Tyler Herro's rise to the top because he is something special when it comes to scoring. His shot, butter. Like, defensively, he's a very try-hard player. I don't know. The question for me is, like, how good is he with his tool set? Because he doesn't have a great NBA body. But I think that he's good enough. I'm going with good enough, lots of effort. I'm going to give him the pass because he doesn't have an NBA body. So if you want to take that as the number one concern, be my guest. But the shot is there. I love it. And he gets the line. He can pass. He can get boards. He can get steals. Like, he can do everything you want.
And
for me, he's a guy who I think that if he continues this run through his local tourney and then the actual March tourney, he's a guy who's going to rock it.
What's his role, though? In the NBA, what's his role? Do you think he's a spot-up shooter? Do you think he's a guy who can hold the ball, carry the ball?
I think he's a secondary scorer for a team. I don't know necessarily. He's not going to be a primary ball handler, but I think he's a secondary ball handler and a secondary scorer. Like, if he's your number 2 option, you're doing pretty good.
Here's the thing that I'll bring up. I'll do a little blind resume, just like Ricky did.
Damn.
All right. This is for both of you. So if one of you guys want to write down. I'll do per 40 because some of the guys are screwed up, but they both played the same amount of games. So per 40, player A averaging 19.4 points per game, 6.7 boards, 2.1 assists, and then from the field shooting 47.5% from the field, 43.4 from 3, and then 89.5% from the line.
Yep.
And then you got that down?
I got none of that down. I got the shooting percentages.
Okay.
My notes was updating.
What I'll do is it's Kyle Korver versus Tyler Herro because they're both bigger guards.
Korver's a bit bigger, but yeah.
And Korver was a guy he shot 89% from the line in college, which is huge. But he was a guy that was shooting 4 threes a game in his freshman year, and he had a 45% 3-point percentage throughout his career. Yeah. I just think if Herro stayed around, he'd be at that level because he's getting a ton of. He's not getting a ton of minutes. Well, he's getting a ton of minutes, but he's not getting the same amount of minutes that Korver was.
Korver was insane. Yeah.
I just think that if he was on a worse team, he'd be doing stuff that Kyle Korver would. And I know it's just like white guys, white guards. But I just think that
lazy comps.
He's got such a quick release.
Yeah.
And I think that as a scorer off the bench to start, he might grow into a bigger role like Korver did. But even then, I think he can be a great shooter.
Next thing you'll hear is JJ Redick.
Yeah. Not like Redick. Redick was different.
I mean, I know he's not a guard.
Sorry, I'm just taking shots at the white point or the white guard situation.
Yeah.
And the thing that I
wanted to be like the Kelly Oubre thing. It wasn't as good.
Well, I mean,
Ricky, that was really good.
I almost had the same thought of, but a different player of I know this player played 3 years and Herro would only be 1, but Sam Decker. That to me
Triple
is
Decker.
Where it's a player where, yes, they shoot very well, they're playing well in college, but at the NBA, how is everything going to, we've said numerous times, translate over? To me, the big things is he shoots well from the line, but that doesn't help you when you're only averaging 3 shots from the line a game. 94% is great.
Yeah.
But I would love you to get to the line more and really cash in on that because no one's defending you. But number 2, how much of it, and we're not going to get this true answer till the combine, but he's a guy that has a shorter wingspan than his actual height. Like most of these guys we're talking about, he's 6'9", but he's got a 6'11" wingspan. He's a guy that 6'5", but has maybe like a inch to half an inch shorter wingspan than his actual height.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and you mentioned that we'll have to see what that's like when it comes to the combine, and if that's different, maybe it's just a bad measurement. But that also isn't a huge killer. Like, he might not just be a good defender. I mean, we see Trae Young. Like, Trae Young has a dinosaur wingspan.
Yeah.
But that's really not affected him. So I think that's really going to affect him once it comes to the defensive side of the ball. But if he's able to shoot, he's going to have a place in the NBA. So that's the thing that I really look at. And if you're looking at the 76ers, if they're getting rid of J.J. Redick, it's just going to provide shooting for them. And I think that's the biggest thing that the Sixers need is that bench scoring. And if they are able to add a player on that can, provide some hustle and score and shoot from the outside, it'll make things easier for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
Jokingly, I looked up people with a stat line above 40%, above 37% from three, and above 90% from the line.
Yeah.
So J.J. Redick's number 2 on that list with shooting splits of 41, or I should say 43 from the field, 39 from three, 91 from
Who's
the
number
line. Tawan Porter from Oregon in 2006-2007 had the most points, but Tyler Hero's number 4 as far as points scored in that category, and 47% from the field, so better. 54% from 2 because his shots, he doesn't mid-range. JJ took a handful of deeper mid-range shots in college. He didn't stay strict to that three-point line. Just 2% worse than him from 3. 39 versus 37, but then 94% from the line versus 91.9.
Yeah, and JJ as a rookie, were you looking at his rookie stats?
I was just looking at freshman year stats,
yeah,
correct.
Yeah, I mean, the freshman year stats are really uncanny.
So Klay Thompson, very similar range, 42% from 2, 41% from 3, 90% from the line. Like, I think he's, and I don't want to get excited because Klay Thompson and JJ Redick are in the same company, but you have to start thinking, like, well,
yeah, but even then, like,
that's some great company. Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving's stats were off the charts, though.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna go there.
Even then with the Klay and JJ comp, like, they stayed another year. So should Tyler Hero stay another year?
I don't. I think if he stayed another year, he would go top 10.
You think that?
I do.
Really?
I think that the funny thing is this is a weaker class, but at the same time, I think that another year of college and without having name
PJ Washington.
Nope. Guy next to him. Keldon Johnson. Take up attempts. I think that he would be a 20-plus a night scorer every night consistently. Like, he would be dominating the college game, would be my opinion. Because that's what we're watching out of him right now when he's getting a ton of minutes during these late conference games. He's played like 30-plus minutes in the last 10 games, basically, 9 games. And yeah, he's putting up like 17 points, 5 boards, 2.4 assists, great shooting splits, 54, 43, 97. Like, he absolutely could be a 20-point a game scorer if he came back next year and be a top 10 pick. But I think that you're going to watch him have a good tourney run, and he's going to be a late lotto pick. Like, that's where his top end is. He could hit 14. In my mind, because
that'd be interesting.
His shooting's ridiculous. I get it from a defensive standpoint. His body's not going to be great for you, so he'll be a liability there. But at the same time,
what if he has a bad tournament? Does he fall out of the first round?
I don't think he falls out because I still think the splits for shooting are there a year long. So he'll still be like in the 20 to 30 range. Worst case scenario, I think he goes like first 2 picks of the second round because the Bulls will sell a pick. Cash considerations, getting the shout out. But
to Mike 2K.
I absolutely think that we're seeing the usage crank up and we're seeing it pay off. Like, he had one bad game in the past month.
I'm gonna throw one out because today he wasn't that hot.
Yikes!
I know it's one game, but like today, lost to Tennessee, 4 of 9 from the field, not bad.
Terrible shooting split.
2 of 5 from 3, 0 of 0 from the foul line. Finished with 10 points. Got 4 assists, but really, it's like that to me is the crux. It's like, hey, here's my biggest strength. Here's my biggest superpower, and I never have the opportunity.
Well, and I think
use
if he was getting to the line more,
that
I think he'd be a higher lotto pick. But then that makes me question his quickness. Is he quick enough to get around people to actually get to the lane?
Well, I mean, in the last games, it was 8 of 9, 8 of 8, 2 of 2, 6 of 6, 2 of 2, 2 of 2, 4 of 4, 2 of 2. Like, he had been getting to the line consistently up until this game. He's had a couple stretches where he gets zeroed out. Three different stretches this year where it was 3 games in a row where he got zeroed out.
And but he's only had 4 or more. Like he's only had 11 games where he's gone to the line 4 or more times.
Right.
So I mean,
I think that's the thing,
a large percentage of his games. He's been 3 or less.
It's funny because Tennessee twice, but the last time he played Tennessee, they held him.
And that's the thing I was going to throw out is
because this is now his 9th time not going to the line in a game.
Was it just he got the jump on? He had a bad game, but Tennessee in that loss to Kentucky was like, we know what we have to do. Let's game plan for him. And that second game, it was like second game and now third game.
Yeah, I'd say
he's had bad games against Tennessee.
3 games in a month, you can definitely game plan against people.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like if he can get to the line more consistently, he's money. He's absolutely money. Tennessee's a hard team to play because A, they're one of the best teams in college basketball, period.
Yeah. For sure.
And B, defensively, they play team defense like none other.
Yeah.
Like they're at the top of all the advanced stats for a reason. And because they play bigger guys at most positions, like you're gonna get low contact. And it's funny because it's like Grant Williams still got the line 11 times for Tennessee, so the refs weren't just swallowing the whistle. So you got to wonder about that. But if he could get to the line more,
Let's move to some different teams. We got the Bucks, Thunders, and Spurs we want to cover. Let's start at the Thunder. Naz Reid, Nassir Little, and Jonte Porter are on the board. What are you looking for this team? Because when I look at Nassir Little, I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that because you already have a wing that can't score in Terrence Ferguson.
Quick question. Did we even look at the 76ers or just Tyler Hero?
Really, just Tyler Hero. But we went on for a long-ass time.
I want to ask one question about the Sixers before we move on is Jimmy Butler leaving going to affect the way this team drafts? Like, do you think Jimmy leaves and then it's like, hey, we got to change it because we thought we'd have Jimmy and now he left us for someone else?
I don't think at this point in the draft you're expecting to find someone who can contribute anywhere close to what Jimmy could give you. So you're just trying to get a guy who can soak up, 5 minutes on the bench during the season.
The thing
right?
is, if they don't sign Jimmy Butler, they're probably just going to bring JJ back.
Yeah,
that's where that Butler money is going to go. It's just to JJ Redick.
And
so
you just hope
you don't
that
really need to fill out a spot on the starting lineup. I mean, the 3's going to be open.
Pray to God
likely.
Zaire Smith is not going to die.
Yeah. And you're going to have a hole open, but even at that point, you're not going to have a guy that you can draft and plug in. So no, I don't really think this is Jimmy Butler's going to affect him. He's going to leave. They need someone to come off the bench and score, and I think that's what you'd be looking for.
Tyler would be a great pick there. I've got Cam Johnson going there because sharpshooter from the outside, with best shooters in the draft. And then you got Iggy, another great outside shooter.
Iggy had a good game today against, I know it's Minnesota, but the Minnesota run comes to an end against the Wolverines.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing is just, for
them,
they just need
spotlighting shooting. So I think that's it from that team. That's all you can hope for.
Well, it would be perfect just if they won the lotto, Jimmy Butler leaves, and they can just put Zion Williamson there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that would
Number
be bad.
3, baby.
Adam Silver could pull out that, and he's like, nope.
Nope.
Oh, this one's blank, weirdly.
He pulls it out. Cleveland!
I know how to do that.
Fuck, Wizards. They're blue.
It's not the Lakers, and it's not going to be the Sixers. That's all I can tell you. My only 2 predictions for the lottery balls.
Let's move on to some of the other teams. Thunder, I have Naz Reid. Ricky of Nassir Little. And Dave, you have Jonte Porter. What does this team need, do you think? Because I'm looking at them, and I think they need some offensive help on the bench. Because you look at this team, they're so good defensively, and it's just like sometimes Russ doesn't have his shots. Schroeder's been up and down. Paul George has really been the only consistent offensive force they have. I think they need some help offensively. That's why I went Naz Reid. I mean, he's a guy that, yes, he might have some motor issues, but when you're playing for the Russell Westbrook led tryhards,
you're gonna get up for the game.
You're gonna get up, and he's gonna pass the ball to you. And I think that's all that Naz Reid wants is the ball in his hands to score. So if he's playing with that team, I think that's a perfect fit for them.
Well, I mean, for me, it was. The reason why I put Nassir...
I don't know if he'll ever get up for a game. I'll be honest.
Do you know who picked the teams that we're talking about? I did. And you know why I picked the Thunder? Because I want to talk about Naz Reid. Because he's a fucking boss.
I don't think he is, though.
I will
He's
say
good.
he had a really good game against Florida.
He can
Because
have
he's
good offensive games.
And these damn LSU guards are fucking pushing him out of the offense. They don't pass to Naz Reid.
But you want to know the
Give
thing?
it to the big guy.
Pick your head up on
He
defense
scored-
for
he
once.
scored
Maybe
mo-
you'd get the ball more on offense.
He scored most of the points, and the team still lost in the end.
Yep.
I mean,
Well,
it
that
doesn't
happens to
translate
LSU
over.
players, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that happens, Ben Simmons.
You know who?
At least Naz Reid could hit a 3, though.
You know who? What's his name?
He's got
Will
that.
Wade. You know who Will Wade should have paid? You shouldn't have played smart. You should have paid Naz Reid. Give Naz Reid the money.
But, like, for me, like, this was a situation where I was in. You talked about it earlier, Sean, where you're like, I almost didn't want to put Naz Reid in the first round. Or not Naz Reid, Nassir Little.
Nassir Little.
In the first
Put
round.
Naz Reid in the fucking first
But
round.
I mean, because I didn't
Kinda
put
joke would
Naz
you
Reid
be?
in the first round.
Dumbass.
But this is a situation for me that I feel this is a team that is going to be, I think they're going to end the number 3 team in the West. They're a team that's not going to have much drastic change from this year to next year. They're a team that can say, hey, let's take a roll on Nassir Little. If he can contribute this year, great. If not, he can be a development. This is the same team that took the guy that we all thought was going to be a huge development in Hamidou Diallo, and he goes out and wins the dunk contest.
The man who literally,
dunk-
we were joking around. He's literally just not good at basketball, but he's physically amazing.
So I looked at that and I said,
And,
why
yeah.
can't they do it again
And-
with Nassir Little?
Terrence Ferguson, the year prior.
Yeah.
You got a project guy who all of a sudden is just coming out, just chucking threes left and right, and he actually hit them at a great rate to start the year.
Yeah.
It's fallen off a little bit, come back to reality, but still, I mean, it's incredible progress.
And
So
it
I think
being-
going for an athletic player like that,
It'd be another thing of just a guy that didn't produce in college, a guy who was
Yep.
highly ranked in
That
high
goes
school,
to the
and just
Thunder.
goes to the Thunder.
yeah, I mean, that is, you got a narrative going.
Well, they're used to it because it's like a college atmosphere there in
But like,
OKC.
if they can develop Hamidou Diallo, Terrence Ferguson, and Nassir Little, how disgusting is that team?
They can get rid of Roberson.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean that's
And Roberson coming back too. I mean, fuck.
that team has scary wing depth.
The defense on that team
Wangs
is
for days.
scary. But
I
that's
just got
why
Jonte going there because I'm on your boat, Sean. Of give me some offense, give me some scoring from the bench, and I think the fact that he is a little slower is not going to kill them because they're not exactly one of the quickest offenses in the NBA. I think because they already work with Steven Adams, they're already used to having a slower big, so I'm cool with going Jonte in that area. Don't put from Missouri. He's from Hurt.
No, he's from Missouri.
He's from Hurt.
Naz Reid is better than Jonte Porter, and that's the facts. Let's move now
you'd
to
be
the
wrong.
Spurs. Spurs, this is their second pick. I have them going with Matthias Thybulle. Ricky has them going with Bruno Fernandez, not Fernando. And then we have
Yeah,
Dave going
Fernandez.
with
I was like, wait, that's wrong.
Eric Paschal. Talk a little bit because we have a Spurs fan on Twitter that has just been coming at me, just being like, all right, who are the Spurs going to take each and every week? And I love it. So I wanted to give him a little bit of love. I have Matthias Thybulle. We've talked about this on Twitter, and I've talked about this on the mock draft. You're not going to find a better defensive player, and he might be able to develop into something offensively, but even if he doesn't, he's going to be a starter because he plays lockdown fucking D.
But they have so many guards. Could you see them like moving him over to a 3 maybe?
I could see him being a 2-3, yes.
Okay.
I think that...
Because I think that they really have a great backcourt set for the future already with Derek White.
who could play a ton of defense.
Derek White not only plays defense, but he fills every freaking column in fantasy.
Love it.
I know that
He's on our team.
I know. And I don't want to do this just because he's on our team, but I'm just saying that pickup was pretty great because he has really come along huge this
If
year.
you have DeJounte Murray and you have Derek White and you have Matthias Thybulle out there, no one's scoring 1 through 3.
Yeah.
That is going to be the best defensive on-off like three-man combo in the league.
Now,
like,
I've
it's
heard-
going to be disgusting.
I've heard some comps of Matthias Thybulle and like old Marcus Smart. Do you think that that's fair?
What
Or do you see
old
any-
Marcus? Oh, you're talking about like him.
College
College him,
Smart.
yeah.
No, because Marcus Smart was a great scorer.
That's what I
Marcus
thought.
Smart was ridiculously a good scorer in college.
Maybe
He
it
just-
was current Marcus Smart then. I don't know. I saw Marcus Smart in his name, and I was like,
But even
what?
then, like
Meh.
Matthias Thybulle's longer than Marcus Smart is. Like Marcus Smart's a small,
they're both-
like compact guy.
But they're
Matthias
able to
Thybulle's
bully guys
long. Yeah.
for their position. I think was the point that they were trying to make.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like that's the thing is Marcus Smart has more heft on him. He's more he's more physical with guys. Where Matthias Thybulle is just very long. He's suffocating. Like he'll suffocate you on offense.
I watched Marcus Smart suffocate Blake Griffin.
No, but I'm saying he has more force to him.
Okay.
And he's like they're both suffocating.
Yeah.
But like it's just more of like there's so much on you where it's not physical. It's just like the presence of him. Where Marcus Smart's
he's got
like a
quick hands for his length and
I think that I mean Marcus Smart was put up 18 points per game in Oklahoma his sophomore year. I just think the thing with Matthias Thybulle, if he can develop a 3-point shot, he's going to be a NBA starter for 15 years. Like he is that good defensively.
Wow.
He's smart. He's got great length. Clearly, and he's just got a knack for the ball and a knack for timing blocks. He's got a knack for jumping lanes, and that just seems like a Spurs pick.
Do you think the level of competition is in question though?
I mean,
this year.
He's been playing in the Pac-12 for 4 years, and this has always been what he's been doing. He's now a smarter player, and that's why you see the high levels of steals of 3.5 and 2.2 blocks. But even last year, as a sophomore, 2.6 or three steals and 1.4 blocks. And then even when he was playing with Markelle Fultz, 2.1 steals and about like a block a game. So like he's just been developing and growing. I think that's the biggest thing for him.
Yeah.
And I think you even look when he was playing with an elite guard in Markelle Fultz. He was shooting 40% from three. He was shooting 84% from the line, putting up 10 points per game. So I think that's something that is intriguing. Like if he's if he's in a good offense, which Washington's not, he might be able to develop into something, a great 3-and-D player. That's what you're looking for in the NBA. So I think you can't look over the seniors in this draft just because these guys have been playing for so long. They're so smart, and while there might be some guys with potential, they just have not had that production. Thybulle has this production.
No, and this is like the point in the draft where you can hit those players as well. Like for me, he's not a senior, but I'm going with an older second-year kind of player with Bruno Fernando. And for me, there's kind of two things I think the Spurs are going to hit on with both their picks. A center and then a wing. And for me, I feel like this 29 pick is perfect center territory because at that point it's like kind of take your pick where it's like, of course, Hayes, Bol, Porter will probably be off the board, and you'll be able to get to pick between Fernando, Gorga, and then whether you like Gafford, Bazley, or even a guy that Dave brought up in our sleepers that I don't think will make the first round and will be a second rounder in Kanate from West Virginia. With me, Gorga and Bruno were two that I kind of looked back and forth. I called him Gorga again.
I know. I'm not even doing it, man.
Goga.
Goger.
He kind of fits the Goger. Kind of fits in there with international and what the Spurs usually do. But I look at Bruno and the only thing that is a negative for me in my mind is his turnovers. Like everything else is like, yes, he can do it. And with the wingspan that he has, which is longer than his height, I think it's going to add defensive. He's going to be defensive down below, and this is somebody that you can turn to after Jakob Poeltl's contract comes up after next year.
I think they might still look at Poeltl just because he hasn't had playing time yet.
Depends on how much money he gets. Like his contract's not up this year. You still have him next year. Yeah. But after next year,
I don't think he's going to demand too much. I think it'll be interesting. Dave Peshkal, did you talk about him?
No, I didn't. But
I talked about Matthias so much.
I talked about Matthias
yet again. We're just gonna talk about who Sean had going to him and then move on.
We'll talk about Matthias in a second because he's at the Bucks.
Yeah.
So I've got Eric going here. Basically, I just laugh because the first thing you read from like draft scouting, and I'm just going off NBA Draft Room just for one example, is prototypical glue guy. Do it all forward, plays to win, heart, hustle, and basketball IQ. Does that not sound like Spurs to you? Like, all of that just seems like, that's a player on the Spurs. But I'm going heavy for wing depth here. Right now, my Spurs draft is KZ Okpala. Get me a wing who can dribble, ball in hand. Love to add that versatility. And then you bring in Eric, and he can play at the 4. He's comfortable taking outside shots.
Let's get real.
Ricky's an unprofessional person.
Yeah, I forgot
using
to mute
the sound on.
What the fuck was that?
It was my computer. I didn't have the sound.
I know what it was. I'm like,
I don't know. It was SI. Whatever.
It was a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's Superman.
no, it's SI.com.
Yeah, there you go. But the point being, he's a very smart player. He takes open shots when they come to him. He's able to score at a good rate. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. He contributes in a lot of ways that don't show up in the box score, which is nice. That's exactly what you want because you're not going to get a star at the bottom of the draft, most likely. But if you can get a guy who can contribute for 15 minutes off the bench at a steady rate for, the next decade, which is exactly what I see out of him. He's just got an easygoing game. Like, there's nothing about him that's amazing, which is why he's this far down. But also, his game doesn't really have a ton of holes in it either. So I look he's a solid player, and you know exactly what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah, I think Peshgal is going to be a guy that's like just around that 28 to 35 range.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a guy that sticks in that area. I just don't think there's a fit that's perfect for him yet. But let's move now to the Bucks. Final team we'll talk about before we get into the final kid, Darius Bazley. I have Daniel Gafford going there. Ricky, you have Taylor Horton-Tucker from Iowa State going there.
THT.
And then, Dave, you have Thibault. Talk why Thibault's a good fit for them, and then we'll move to Ricky, and then I'll finish it up with Gafford.
Because Bucks and wingspan, baby. I know the owner of that is now with the Magic, but I still have to stick with it because could you imagine? Like, literally, just stop it. Could you imagine that level of wingspan, that level of defense on that Bucks team? It's just, he's an instant plug-and-play, off-the-bench player, and then going forward, like you said, if he can continue to grow that offensive game, or because he's in a better system, maybe he'll be a little more efficient with that shot selection. I think it's an instant selection. He's a smart player. He's an older player, so he comes into a team with high expectations, playoff expectations for the next, as long as Giannis is on the team, realistically. They don't need the world out of him, but they do need someone who can contribute, and he can do that right away.
Horton-Tucker, what does he bring?
I mean, if I'm going the same way Dave is thinking, it's funny that I chose a 3 who is 6'4", listed at 6'4", has a wingspan of 7.1 because it's Milwaukee. But no, for me, it was just the best 3, take it. Because Chris Middleton, we talked about him last week when we talked about the Lakers. Will he be back? Will he get paid with somebody else?
Yep.
Even if he leaves, the Bucks could say, fine, we'll throw a contract at Nikola Mirotic to keep him. Giannis could play the 3 because it doesn't matter where Giannis plays. And I would just take a 3 to kind of play behind that and come off the bench here. I originally had Iggy when the podcast started, switched around this. Horton-Tucker would be just my best one. And you got to give some love to him because he's a Chicago kid, Simeon Career Academy.
That boy needs to get in shape. That's the craziest
6'4",
thing.
233.
Yeah, he's a fat boy.
Not a wet boy, a fat boy.
No, you watch him play.
I can't wait till that comes out.
Yeah. I was like, you watch him play, and you're like, wow. I think that if he got some great conditioning coaches and hits the weight room consistently as his only job,
he's got 8 points against Kansas right now as we're recording this.
Yeah. If he can do those things and get into great shape, he just needs to fix his shot a little bit. But he's got good passing for a big man, and they do play him as a big man because his weight. I think that the whole thing is he's got a ton of potential. So in this range, like you said, you're either going for someone who's proven it and you know what you're getting, or you're taking a total swing at somebody who he's a guy who Iowa should come back the next year. I'm sorry, Iowa State should come back the next year, continue to develop. He has upside. Absolutely. He
was one of your sleepers.
Yeah, but
one of your guys.
He needs to lose weight, get in better shape, and develop that shot. Because I don't think I've got him higher than this just because he's got a ton of potential.
Yeah.
Good ball handler.
Yeah, I just worry about everything you said. The negatives stand out to me a lot.
They do.
I think him going back another year would be big. Just so he can shore up those things, and maybe even then he'll be like a guy like PJ Washington who goes all the way up to 14 as a sophomore. I just worry about can all those negatives actually come out as a positive? And hey, when you're the Bucks who can waste a pick, at 30, they don't need a guy.
Right.
I think that's not a bad pick for the for the Bucks.
Thing is they've got an excellent conditioning crew because Giannis transformed himself into an absolute fucking machine out there. You look at the other guys they've had develop on that team, like DJ Wilson now looks like an NBA player, which is great because his first year he was nothing close to it. So I trust the ability, and that's the one thing I guess he could get is you're going to do your job in the NBA and you're being paid to go condition, go to the gym, work out constantly rather than having to manage that schoolwork and everything else that comes with the college life. So he might be able to develop faster in the NBA, but he would be a higher pick should he go back to school and work on those things.
For sure. And one of those guys that we thought was going to be that was going to be Daniel Gafford out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I have him going 30th, and I don't think you guys have him at all.
Literally nothing changed in this
round.
game.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think we're overlooking
Did you say
is just
this
like
game?
His game.
Oh, his game. Okay.
the thing that we're overlooking is that we were having him in the lottery in a good draft. Right.
Yeah.
And then now nothing's changed in his game. He's gotten better. I mean,
he's just got more usage.
Yeah, he's gotten more usage, but he's shooting better from the field, 60 to 66%. He's improved his free throw percent shooting. Like everything has gotten better in his game.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I worry about is just like how limited is he? But when I'm looking at the Bucks, like you look at their interior defense, and you have Brook Lopez, Paul Gasol, guys who are going to be up after the end of the year, and they can't play inside defense. The only guy that team really can, or Wilson's one of them, and then Giannis, obviously. So I think adding just a bench interior defender would be huge. And also, he's a guy that can run off pick and rolls, and him and like Giannis at a pick and roll setting, like holy shit.
Watching them both crash the boards would be funny.
Yeah, he's a guy that's really aggressive. And if you're looking at centers, like he's a guy that's nasty. He can really throw it down, and he's aggressive, and I love that from him. The aggressiveness is huge, and that really jumps off the page for me. So I like Daniel Gafford for the Bucks. Let's talk about the last one, Darius Bazley, who started a YouTube channel. I have him going to the Nets. They can waste a pick. I really just wanted to talk about him. He's working for New Balance now as an intern. It's interesting because he's 6'8", right? He's a wing. That's huge in the NBA.
Yep.
He was a pretty good ball handler, and he's aggressive for what we've seen. From his high school days, but how much can his high school days transfer over? And we're really kind of looking, let's look at Michael Porter Jr. Obviously, Porter Jr. went to college, didn't play great there in like 6 games.
Yeah.
He was obviously hurt, and we were really basing a lot of our projections off of his high school game. So what have you guys not seen in his high school game that isn't putting him in the first round? Because he was a highly ranked recruit. He's a guy that's in shape still. I mean, he's kind of twiggish, but if he goes to the NBA, he might be able to add some weight. And I think he's really quick. I think he's athletic. Like, what are the negatives to Darius Bazley?
When you talk about a player with good handles as a wing, I wonder, okay, well, how well does he facilitate his teammates? And I go, oh, wait, he doesn't have teammates. So I've got to question that going forward at the very base level.
I mean, I was going to say the same thing. How many guys today, Cam Reddish, Nassir Little, to name 2, have we mentioned, oh, yeah, if you look at their high school tape, way different than what we're seeing now. And I think the reason why Bazley's in my second round is because I haven't seen him play this year.
Yeah.
There are guys passing him up.
But
there are guys jumping up.
We didn't see Mitchell Robinson play.
I knew you were
going
to do that to me. I knew you were going to do that to me.
But it's true. If you can go back, wouldn't you take Mitchell Robinson in the top 15?
We did have Mitchell Robinson in the top 15 the whole season.
If you actually did it, wouldn't you do it? For him falling to 36 is a damn crime.
I understand and I agree, Sean. We are on the same page. The difference is Darius Bazley may be in our first round as soon as he shows up to the combine. So our mock after May 16th, right? 16 to 19, I think was 15, 19.
Yeah.
He will be there. I just made that statement when we started these mocks was I'm not going to rate him until I see him play. So come that last one where we have the most possible information on these players, then I'll put him there if he deserves to be there. But you can't tell me that a player who is known for his ability to be a ball handling wing who can facilitate teammates, when he doesn't have teammates, we don't have any game tape of him in the last year. Like there's nothing there for me. Yes, he can work on his shot. Yes, he can go work out and build up that NBA level body, but that's not going to separate him out until we actually see him out there in those 5-on-5s at the combine. Then I'll be impressed if he does well, or I'll be like, maybe he should have went to college.
Yeah, I think that it's.
I think you can't just say everybody is Mitchell Robinson.
I think that the Nets that they have the ability to just waste a pick. They should take them. That's the thing. Is like they don't really need
high upside draft group, and it's paid off for them in the past.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like what are they missing out on? And they did the same shot with Rodions, right? It was Rodions?
Yeah.
Where he wasn't getting playing time overseas. They wanted to protect him. They were just like, well, let's see what he's got. And it's similar, just because you didn't know what he was, kind of an unknown.
Zana Musa was the one where teams were going to pick him, but he said no because they were going to stash him. He's like, no, I want to come over and play. 19-year-old, like super talented shooter, and basically they're actually like, yeah, we'll give you playing time. I mean, they haven't given him a ton this season, unfortunately, but at least he's over in the U.S. working out with an NBA-level staff and training, like 24/7 working with the team, which I think has a value that's separate from the EuroLeague. So I agree. They're a team who absolutely is eager to take shots on guys. That's why I've got them going with THT. And I agree. You go with Darius Bazley. Similar realm of potential. So not too far off.
Yeah, I hope he can turn out to something. And fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
So let's see. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. This has been our longest episode ever. This is at 50 minutes, this segment. So this is going to be... What the fuck
This
are
is
you
Jet
doing with your
Life.
hand?
It's AO, Jet Life.
Oh.
Oh, can we just say the reason that
Decimo?
you and I don't have him going in the first round
It's
is
because I think he's going back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where would you put him?
I would probably put him...
Because I literally, when I was putting this together, I had him all the way up to 17 to the Pistons.
I could see him 20 through 30 easy.
Consistency. Like,
he's young.
know,
But you see the sparks.
I
That's
get
the thing.
that.
He's young,
Like, I
he's
get
clutch,
that
and
he's
he's
young.
got the quickest release.
Exactly.
The only one
Yeah.
who has a quicker release is
back.
Darius Garland.
Exactly. It's like, go
Garland's-
back,
I would put him
play
above
another year, hopefully get
Well, would you
Illinois
put
to
him
the tournament,
above
make some
Tyler
noise, and then
Hero?
come out.
Who?
AO.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So
'Cause he's-
he's
I
top
think he's-
20.
does
Yeah.
more.
Or I should say between 20 and 30, 100%. Potentially
Yeah.
15
he would be,
and 25.
He would be in this range if
15
I
and
thought he was
25
coming
is,
out.
I think, where he would land. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. So let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. We have the mailbag next week, so definitely tune in and subscribe for that. If you're listening on iTunes, please rate us 5 stars. And if you do have the opportunities, check out patreon.com/mostwebpodcast. I swear to God, this stuff is going to be great. April 1st, check it out. We have some great tiers that are coming out, so definitely check that out. We'd love to have you as a patron, so check that out. For Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. This is the longest Fast Break episode ever. You're witnessing history. If you made it this far, we should do something. We'll do another thing. If you...
We'll make it longer.
No, we'll
24-hour live stream.
What's the spoiler in the bottom? You got to tell them to comment. If they listen this long, you get something.
My
name,
computer is dead. That's how long we've.
here it is. If you could DM us on Twitter @MostWayOPod with one of the names that we compared Cam Reddish to, if you have to use the
that's
criteria
too early.
again.
That's way too early in the podcast.
I don't care.
We talked about I want something from the mid, like something that's going to be a deep dive.
Well, this is kind of in the middle because that was like halfway through the first segment. This is
What did we compare?
There's 24. There's 24 players. There's 24 players that have shot under 40% from the field, 35% from three, have taken over 3-point field goal attempts per game and over 10 field goal attempts per game. So 3 field goal attempts per game, more than 5, and then more than 10 field goal attempts per game, shooting under 35% and under 40%. If you can give me one of the 24 names, I will DM you, or I'll Venmo you $2 this time. $2.
Man, you're gonna lose freaking. Last time it was 5. This time
No, it was 1.
2. Oh, okay.
It was 1.
It was $5 last time.
If you could spell, no, it was $1 if you could spell that one city.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. But if you could DM me one of the 24 names,
And you
I'll
did
I'll
it. I saw
Venmo
the
you-
screenshot.
I'll Venmo you $2. Let us know down in the comments below, and also DM us for $2. But that's gonna do it. For Ricky Widmer, Dave Oster, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.